Alrighty, I think we should be here. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. How are you guys doing? So, if anything is broken in the restream, that is probably my fault. I hope it's not nothing broken. And, well, here we are. Also, Discord cannot hear me, so Nikki cannot tell that I'm talking. Give me a second, guys. That would be less than ideal. There we go. Now Nikki can tell that I'm talking. Oh no, hey listen, hiya.
Alright, I was actually able to, because I had the stream on, but that would have been kinda weird to communicate.
That would have been rather strange, I have to admit, yes. Alrighty, do we have the results as in which names are going to be taken and which sprites we're going to be choosing? Or I guess they are already chosen by this point.
I'm pretty sure they know what they are doing, because I can't even communicate with them right now. I'm not sure how, but we have the sprite
yes.
Ultros, the sprite Poi Poi, and Sailor Moon, which Netara is gonna choose Ultros, RPGC is gonna choose Poi Poi, and Caeshura Sailor Moon, from what I know. Yeah, and the names are Ultros, short for Ultros, I guess, which is probably going to go to Netara. The kinda shocked face, oh Neo. According to Netara's donation, is gonna go to RPGChick, which leaves Gilberto, our good friend Edward, for Caeshura, which is a pretty weird combination, but okay. Oh, someone should
there was a donation for one of the names earlier, wasn't there? I think for $5.
Yeah, that was from Netara. So it's actually RPGC who has to switch her name.
Alrighty. In the meantime, I guess I can fix the cropping a little bit, so might as well do that while I have a little bit of time. And suddenly I have no more music from RPGC. Seems to be loading. But not really. Let's see whether I can refresh this. Might be on my end. I had a little bit of trouble getting this going, so I hope this is not going to be a reoccurring problem during this. Nikki, can you see RPGC's stream right now?
I am only looking at the RPG Valkyries channel because I have trackers up. I don't see more than you do.
I see, so kind of hard to confirm. The RTMP? Okay, so I'll try to get it loaded again, clicking a bunch until it hopefully will work. Also, Netara, thank you very much for having the text there that you are Netara in that screen. There we go. I think I have... There we go. I have RPGC back. So, okay. Or not. Goodbye. Too late. It appears that this is kind of a weird recording. Too late. Okay. So I'm just going to be patient, and I hope we are going to be figuring this out rather soon. And then we get going, I guess. So, Nikki, do you know this game by chance?
Yeah, I was actually.
Hi, communication is easier when you come in here. No, we're getting it delayed, so because of that, she just disconnected to try and make it better, but you had reconnected by that point, but she was like, too late, already done. So, yeah, hi.
Hello.
So she should be back now or shortly.
Shortly, Tim. Alrighty. Okay, I think we got it now. Probably.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here and get all the spoilers. Wait, sorry, gotta go.
Alrighty, I guess we are ready, so I'm gonna ask them in Discord whether they are ready. Then I'm gonna give them a quick countdown, and then they are going to go. And we are going to introduce you guys to this game and also this game mode, because that is very unusual if you have played this game as a kid. It's not quite what you would expect. Or maybe it is exactly what you're expecting, because it's randomized.
So yeah, as I said earlier, I was the lucky person who last year did the scrub race with Caeshura. AK, we both pretty much did not know much about the game except what we've seen other people stream.
Right, do you know a bit more about it now?
I practiced a bit, so I sadly can't participate in this race anymore, but we found 2 other awesome Valkyries who made this race happen.
I see, you mean victims. Maybe. Either way,
yeah,
so you're too good for this now. As I understand that, you're too good now.
Yeah, I fear so. So do we want to let them start?
I would say so. Are they in? Oh, they're in there. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, Nikki, I guess you gave them the countdown, and then they are going to get going. Thank you very much. I was looking at the wrong Discord channel. That's on me.
Well, people changed Discord channels a few times.
Indeed. So, I hope I'm not too far behind on that Netara. That might be on my end. Maybe I should refresh. I'm gonna refresh Netara's real quick. Hopefully this is gonna be reloading in time. Either way, so anybody who does not necessarily know this game at all, this is Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is normally a Super Nintendo game, and people have played this game a lot, like a lot. And trying to reload Netara's stream a bit more. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but oh well. Ah, there it is, it's back. Okay. So, this is Zelda: A Link to the Past Randomizer. Randomizer means that in any chest there can be pretty much any item. However, there's a few game modes for randomizers, so to speak, because Zelda: A Link to the Past can be heavily glitched. However, this game mode here will only use minor glitches if our participants know any minor glitches for that matter. Also, for anybody who knows the randomizer a little bit, they are playing currently the standard mode and an Uncle Assured sword. So you don't necessarily even start with a sword in some of the game modes for a Zelda: Link to the Past randomizer. However, that's the very first thing they get. Also, all of our racers already picked up the Moon Pearl. The Moon Pearl allows you to be a normal person in the Dark World. The entirety of the Zelda: Link to the Past more or less plays on 2 mirrored planes. One is the Light World, one is the Dark World. And in order to be able to do more or less anything in the Dark World, you kind of need that Moon Pearl. Further, in case you're wondering, our rangers are not the most practiced in this game. They have done a few practice runs here and there, at least I know that of Caeshura, and I think I have seen Netara play this game as well before. And RPGC probably also has quite a bit of information and knowledge about this.
But I'm confident that they have watched a lot of people do Link to the Past Randomizer before, so that also definitely helps a lot.
Indeed. So, One of the nicer things about this game, I feel like, is the better you get, the easier it is to get through those areas, but you might actually be rather surprised when you first come back to this game. Let's say you have played this game in the past, when you were younger or something like that, and suddenly you try, yeah, I can do that, I can do better than those. But actually it is surprisingly difficult to not get hit or defeat those enemies. You can see Netara in the top right of the screen only having 1 heart out of 4 left, which means she needs to be quite careful about not getting hit too much more. Also worth noting that they are, of course, not playing with the standard sprites in this game. Normally, of course, you would be using Link as your main character sprite. However, Randomizer community had a bit of fun, essentially creating hundreds of different sprites that you can use. There's Sailor Moon at the top left that Caeshura is using. There's Ultras from Final Fantasy VI that Netara is using, and Popoi, or the sprite from Secret of Mana that RPGChick is using. So Nikki, if I may ask, which one is your favorite sprite of the ones that we have selected today?
Actually, I've ever used 2 sprites. My favorite is Dark Zelda, and second one is Sailor Moon.
Nice.
So we actually managed to hit one of those 2.
That's good to me. Personally, I really like the sprite, because the sprite actually, you might think it looks a lot like the sprite from Secret of Mana, but it's actually adjusted quite a bit, and it fits just really well into this world. So I just really like how the creator made this fit into Zelda: Link to the Past. Alrighty, to give you, by the way, a brief overview about what exactly is going on in the game. What are they doing? So, essentially in standard mode, you have to go through the entirety of the castle escape sequence. You go into the prison, rescue Princess Zelda, go through the sewers, deliver her to the priest at the chapel, and then you are kind of free to go wherever you go, well, assuming that you have the necessary items required to go to those places. So what that means is you could find the flute, and the flute will give you access up to Dark Mountain right away. Or you could find 2 pairs of gloves, a flute, a moon pearl, and then you can already go to Misery Mire, more or less right away as well. So our racers will want to essentially check as many chests as possible. Worth noting that there is 3 chests in the sewer escape sequence at the very end. In the regular game, it usually takes you a while until you would even be able to get into that room. However, all the drops, oh nice, all the drops are randomized, so it is entirely possible to get bomb drops from those enemies, and Netara did just pick up a bomb. Also, I see RPGChick also has acquired a bomb. Caeshura, on the other hand, is still kind of lacking that one. So the reason why that is
Bomb
kind of a
drops,
big
I
deal...
lie.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Bomb drops, I lie. Honestly, I never get bomb drops in Escape except in the Assyrian chest.
Yeah, it's essentially how much time do you invest into farming when you're in a race, or how much time do you want to invest into trying to go further. So it looks like Caeshura is actually just going on without a bomb. This is kind of a big deal, because you will see Netara and also RPGChick be able to open up this door to the left. In those 3 chests there could be a lot of things. There could be basically entirely nothing. Like, oh, or there could be quite a bit of something right there. Oh boy. So, what they just picked up are the Hermes boots. What those do is they allow you to press the A button and run in a straight line. It is also doubles as an attack, and of course, if you try to go fast, being able to run is kind of a big deal. So the thing is, not all is lost for Caeshura. She will be able to go ahead and pick those up as well, as soon as she gets some bombs, and maybe remembers to go back there, which could be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, but most likely you'll have to wait until she gets gloves, because you don't want to run all the way through the castle to get there, but hopefully takes a shortcut with the gloves.
Yes, indeed. In all the randomizer version, it actually was not possible to get back through the escape sequence in order to get to that chest, but in this kind of version you can totally do that, which means you're not guaranteed to get a glove before you would have to go and grab the boots. So, Caeshura... Oh, well, Caeshura just killed one of those scuttlebugs. Also, there is that tree where you can pull from. Netara is just doing that right now. And those trees are interesting because they can give you 3 different item pools of items. And again, those items are randomized. Each one of the races is now checking the item on the ledge over there in this little cave. This item is special because in order to acquire it, you have to have, on one hand, the boots, but on the other hand, you have to defeat Aghanim in Hyrule Castle. Due to the nature of Randomizer, very often you never have to defeat Aghanim in Hyrule Castle, so if our racers see an item that is required up there in order to beat the game, well, then they will have to go and defeat him. Right now, it looks like 10 arrows, and they don't really need it, so that's kind of nice. So far, the game has actually been quite nice with the amount of hearts and also money acquired. It has been a bit stingy on how many bombs were dropped from enemies, however, so that's not quite as pleasant, but not much you can do about that. Worth noting that the randomizer will always assume that you have access to bombs, because worst case scenario, you could just go to certain bushes that give you guaranteed bomb drops, or gather single rupees on the bushes until you have 50 rupees together and buy bombs in a shop. We will see what our racers are going to do here. Caeshura has 91 rupees, so she could go ahead and buy some bombs if she wanted to. Wait, that's RPGChick.
Yeah. Gotta say, so the same acquires for money, and there are seeds that just immediately tell you to go to Zora and Palace of Darkness, and you don't see any money. It rarely happens, but it can become really troublesome.
Indeed. Speaking of Zora, so worth noting that unfortunately Caeshura and also RPGChick do not have a bomb in order to check that last chest in this little house here. There would be one more chest. They probably want to go back for it. Oh boy. So, I need to try and be a little bit more quiet because somebody in the next room can hear me who's racing.
Yeah, but as you can see, Netara, on the other hand, goes down to acquire some bombs and checks the tavern first in order to just be safely always able to crack those 2 walls open.
Indeed. So, they just got a whole lot of items, so normally the standard move in the randomizer is to immediately... Oh goodness, Netara just threw a chicken through the wall. Either way, normally the standard move is to just immediately go into the city because there's a whole lot of chests and often you will find useful items to progress. So, our racers have acquired now the flippers, which allow them to swim. Previously, you can actually not swim normally anyways. There's a minor glitch that allows you to swim with restrictions. They have acquired a lamp, which you can use to light torches, which is required in order to open up doors and solve minor puzzles and acquire certain chests. But also, it gives you a lamp cone in order to go through dark rooms. In the vanilla game, you will always receive the lamp very early on, as you're required to pick it up, otherwise you can't progress. So you will never actually see dark rooms that are completely dark. However, in this case, or in Randomizer, you could encounter that. Now, in this logic here, glitchless never assumes that it will have to enter or cross dark rooms in the complete dark. It will always give you the lamp somehow before that. But, well, the lamp might sometimes be a bit difficult to acquire. So they did pick up a book. A book allows you to read tablets, read the pedestal, which is also quite an interesting item location, and essentially you need a upgraded sword, plus you need a book in order to go ahead and get the items from the tablets, but you can already read what is on the tablet's content and basically just pre-check them. Same with the pedestal. If you have a book, you can go ahead and check the pedestal. The pedestal is probably one of the worst locations for a required item to be, because you need to collect the 3 pendants from the dungeons in order to get that item. And due to the nature of Randomizer, you kind of have to often not even visit some of the certain dungeons. So the basic goal of this game is to collect the 7 crystals, beat Ganon's tower by opening it with the 7 crystal, and then subsequently beating Ganon. You never actually have to collect all the 3 pendants like in the vanilla game. Plus, worth mentioning that the dungeons, whether they give you a pendant or a crystal, is also randomized. So in theory, you never really want to complete a dungeon that is not absolutely required, at least if you're a speedrunner. Maybe if you are just kind of strolling through the world in a randomized fashion, you don't really care about that, and that's okay. But since they are in a race setting, they will probably preferably not enter a pendant dungeon, although I don't believe any of our races have yet checked which ones of the dungeons are crystals and which ones are pendants. You can do so by opening the map. They also just acquired the mail upgrade. The mail upgrade allows you to only take half damage from most sources. The exception are traps and projectiles, which usually just do a fixed amount of damage. Also, I kind of looked over that, but they did acquire 1 pair of gloves. Those gloves allow you to lift up the bluish turquoise rocks, which are basically in the way of quite a few items and places where you can otherwise not go to. Also, Netara remembered that there are those rocks here. You need boots in order to open up this location and get the item out of it. So if she didn't have the boots, she couldn't actually get those 100 rupees. 100 rupees are not required in order to complete the game, but you never know where those required items really are, so it's better to just kind of try to check those in the most efficient fashion. Further, Netara looks like she is going up Death Mountain already. Death Mountain, you either need the flute in order to get up there, or you need the lamp plus a set of gloves in order to be able to traverse those tunnels. At least by logic. If you are clever enough, or not clever, but if you are practiced enough, you can actually just get through those dark rooms without having a lamp. But then you're kind of sequence breaking the logic, which may or may not come back to bite you, but at the same time can be useful. On the bottom left we see RPGChick go and open up Desert Palace. This is actually one of the things I didn't mention what you can do with the book. Desert Palace is dungeon number 2 in the regular game, and it allows you to just, well, open up the dungeon with the book. And it looks like Caeshura is falling quite a few times into the, mini Moldorm's caves. Just throwing over a bomb. Alrighty, you have to defeat all those little guys in order to be able to get on this door open where there's 5 items. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. RPGChick. And oh my, there's too much going on. I can't keep track of it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Caeshura just picked up the Ice Rod, which is required in order to beat Turtle Rock. Normally the final dungeon before you go into Ganon's tower. However, whether you need to clear Turtle Rock or not is not decided yet. But having the Ice Rod usually is better than not having it. On the bottom left, RPGChick actually picked up something very valuable, the hookshot. The hookshot allows you to essentially hook onto things and cross gaps, and also get past certain obstacles that you could not otherwise get through without the hookshot. So further, RPGChick just got the second item out of Desert Palace. Once you know a bit more about Randomizer, you start recognizing that there's only so many unique items there can be in dungeons. Essentially, there is in Desert Palace 2 unique items, which can be anything, can be a single rupee, it can be a hookshot, kind of like it was just here. There is the compass, the map, and the big key. The compass, map, and big key are always in dungeons, and there are a variable amount of small keys depending on which dungeon you are visiting. In case of the Desert Palace, it is just a small key. which you don't even necessarily need in order to finish the dungeon to get the small key. Worth noting that you actually needed the boots in order to get the hookshot. So if Caeshura goes into Desert Palace before she goes and picks up the boots from the escape sequence, she will not be able to get the hookshot because you have to bonk into the torch in order to get that. You feel like I should randomly shout, OMG, I can't believe she found that every once in a while, just for K. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that is actually quite defined there too for RPGChick.
Wow.
So,
She didn't even
RPGChick
look beforehand, did she?
No, I don't think she did.
Usually you check that place before entering Desert Palace.
Well, yeah, that is just more time efficient, but if you want to go there anyways, it's better to go there afterwards if you didn't check. Either way,
If you...
what you just picked up is the Cane of Samaria, which allows you to create blocks. And those blocks allow you to put on a switch and hold the switch down. It's required in order to get past certain mini puzzles and speed certain dungeons, and even progress particularly far into certain areas for that matter. So it's not immediately useful right now, but it definitely will come in handy. It's very rare that the Cane of Samaria is not required in order to beat the game, although it definitely can happen. In the meantime, Caeshura is exploring this water and following the flipper route. She can actually go through a certain whirlpool in order to get closer to Zora. However, she also has to be really careful because she has only one heart left. I have to admit I didn't really keep track of what Netara did in the meantime, but it looks like
she did Ice Rat Cave.
Ah, very nice, okay. It looks like that RPGChick is already going for the first boss here. Pretty sure she didn't check what the boss is. So... oh, she uses bombs, that's nice. So this is Landmollas. Essentially just 3 wiggly worms that you have to defeat. Normally you kind of want to wait a little bit until you have certain equipment to beat them, but if you're already here, you might as well defeat them. They each take, I think, like 8 regular attacks. Normally charging up the sword actually makes your sword swing a bit stronger, but I think there's an exception for that if you have only the fighter sword, which is the weakest one. But
yeah, it might be stronger, but not the usual ×2 at least.
Yeah. It looks like RPGChick is actually doing a pretty good job here dealing with those guys laying bombs once in a while. She could use the Cane of Samaria to actually reasonably good effect, I believe. It wouldn't deal a whole lot of damage, but she would just be able to set on blocks and... wow, deal with them, nice. Double kill. Not the fastest, but honestly, looking at Caeshura's stream, that might not be all that important as long as you don't die.
Yeah, I mean, for only having fighter sword. That was a pretty good Lemoless fight still.
I do agree. As in, for the equipment she had, very solid, no questions. If she had the Ice Rod actually, the Landmollas died to 2 Ice Rod shots. It's one of the few times the Ice Rod is actually used as an active weapon for that matter. In the meantime, Netara seems to follow in RPGChick's footsteps with the Ice Rod in tow, so she might be able to dispose of Landmollas quicker, if she knows that you can use them against them. One thing I didn't touch on yet. Oh, when did Caeshura pick up the Titansmiths? I kind of missed that.
That must have been Waterfall Fairies then. I actually missed that too, but it has to be yeah.
Either way, the Titansmiths, which are the yellow gloves in the bottom left of their trackers, are used to pick up the heavy rocks. The Titansmiths are always required in order to beat the game, and also the Titansmiths alone allow you access to the Dark World already if you go to Kakariko. Kakariko is the village that they have been in earlier, and that is one of the places where Caeshura would now have access to the Dark World. She might want to stick to the Light World just a little bit, because there's a few more places to visit. Ah, nice. RPGChick uses knowledge and power to use the hookshot to just one-shot those little Landmollas. They die to a single hit. Normally the hookshot just stuns enemies, but in this case the mini Moldoms just straight up die from it, so it's a lot more efficient and fast to use them. It looks like RPGChick has quite the knowledge advantage. The runners here are not reading chat now. They are, however, in a Discord voice chat, just kind of probably talking with each other one way or another, or just kind of shouting stuff. They are using the latest version of the randomizer, so I would assume that it's version 30 by now. I've actually been a bit away from the randomizer scene.
Yeah, it should be version 30 still.
I see. Nice. Alrighty. So, Caeshura actually has entered Eastern Palace in the top left. The Eastern Palace, often runners don't want to go here until they find the bow. The bow is only needed in order to defeat the boss. But, well, if you enter this dungeon, you might as well want to clear it out entirely. However, there is 3 items in here that you can usually pick up. Sometimes the boss will have one of the items kind of locked behind the bow, essentially, and so you will need the bow before you will get that item. Well, let's see how that's going to go. Yeah, the boots were in the back of escape. I'm trying to be not too loud, otherwise Caeshura might be able to hear me accidentally.
The problem for Caeshura is kinda she didn't get a bomb for the back of escape, and now she has the options between desert without boots versus eastern without bow.
Yeah, that is true.
Which I guess she just didn't keep back of escape in mind now that she has the clothes. And yeah, everything else is kinda a weird thing to go for. Can't blame her.
The back of the escape can easily slip your mind if you have done a few runs of this game, because normally, I dare to say normally, you just get bombs along the way and you just clear it out right away. But sometimes you don't get bombs and then you tend to forget about it. However, they do have trackers with maps, so they hopefully will remember eventually where things are. If not, well, that's less than ideal. I do believe theRPGChick just picked up a mushroom. I actually didn't catch where that was, but the mushroom allows you to...
That must then also have been Waterfall Fairy.
Oh, no, excuse me, that was Caeshura. I'm mixing up stuff already. Caeshura acquired the mushroom, and that allows you to go to the witch, which is in the top right of the map, and trade it for one other item. It's essentially a fetch quest. It can be used for a minor glitch to act as magic powder instead, which can be quite useful. And yes, there are actually hint tiles in this game. You see sometimes those grey things on the walls. Those are actually, well, hint tiles in the vanilla game as well. So the randomizer community decided to add them also as hint tiles. However, some hints are more or less useful, because certain items you might already have that the hints talk about, you might not really care about the item in question that the hint talks about, like when it tells you there's 3 bombs on a pedestal, or something like that. But also there is, of course, the option that the hint might just give you a really nice hint. Or sometimes when you see green text, that means it's completely useless, unfortunately. So Caeshura is going to the right side. Oh, it looks like she... Oh no. Maybe. And in the meantime, let's see. Netara is now fighting Lanmolas. It looks like she doesn't realize that she could use the Ice Rod to really great effect here. Because actually you can have the Ice Rod in the vanilla game here as well. The tricky thing is you only get 8 shots with the Ice Rod if you have full magic. So let's kind of hope that she doesn't die. So Lanmolas fighting it with the Fighter Sword is actually kind of difficult. theRPGChick made it look like it was no big deal, but it's really easy to get hit by those little pebbles that shoot out from when the Lanmolas rise up, and especially once you only have 1 Lanmolas left, instead of shooting in 4 directions, it will shoot in 8 directions, which will actually make this even more difficult to survive. Each one of those pebbles will only do half hardened damage, thanks to them having the armor upgraded. Also, Caeshura thankfully picked up the boots. Now she could go and grab the hookshot. Oh, nice. This is something you haven't seen yet. Caeshura is going to open up the King's Tomb, because she has the Titansmiths already. She can go and see what that item is. Netara in the meantime defeated Lanmolas, very nice. And we only get 10 arrows. theRPGChick gives us a first glimpse at East Death Mountain. East Death Mountain actually is a very chest-dense location, which means if you can go there, you usually want to visit it sooner rather than later. However, it's worth noting that if Caeshura were to get the hookshot and get up Death Mountain, she could actually even visit the Dark World on Death Mountain, which you need the Titansmiths in order to get there. Oh, we also get our first look. Turns out, crystal number 5. Oh, my streams just are buffering. Uh-oh. 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 Streams? Alright. Looks like a recovered question mark. Hopefully. The RTMP might be in a little bit of trouble. I can hear, but I can't see right now. Okay, I think we got them again. So unfortunately we kind of miss what they are picking up. I think RPGChick just got a bottle. A bottle allows you to trade, or well, if you show the bottle to the sick kid in the village, he will give you a item as well, which is worth noting.
Yeah, it's the second bottle we have found so far. The other one was in Sahasrala's hat for Caeshura.
Indeed. It looks like the RTMP might be a bit overloaded. I hope it corrects itself soon. And I hope it's not on my end. Actually, kind of hope it's on my end. You know what? It doesn't matter because I'm the restreamer. Either way, I hope this is not going to be an ongoing issue. It looks like we have Caeshura and RPGChick back. However, Netara is still kind of in the void. Oh, also, yes indeed, RPGChick did pick up the Blue King. The Blue King gives you invulnerability for the duration. It does, however, continuously cost magic, but it also has a little spinning thing around you which can damage enemies. It can be really nice used in the correct situations. I'm trying to get Netara back here. Let me try this real quick.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'm guessing that chat will keep me up to date on whether we may have found something else. Worth noting, we did find the Ether and the Quake medallions. Those medallions are used to open up Turtle Rock or Misery Mire. In the vanilla game, you need Ether to open up Misery Mire, you need Quake in order to open up Turtle Rock. However, in the randomizer, you don't know which one you need. You might need Bombos in order to open both of those dungeons. You could use Ether in order to open up Turtle Rock and Quake for Misery Mire. Either way, usually you do need one or the other medallion. So that's that. So, give me a second, guys.
Apparently missed the flute in East Death Mountain, which is a really nice pickup also.
Alrighty, I hope the message may have Alrighty, we should be back. Oh my goodness. And now Netara is restarting the stream. It's actually kind of like before.
Yeah, so Netara did the Zora chain. I'm not sure yet if Zora gave anything, but we had the Cape on Zora Ledge, CS Titansmith.
Okay, Cape is nice because it makes you invisible and invulnerable to damage. It can also be required for acquiring at least one of the items, plus the Cape allows you to visit or get 2 Aghanim if you really wanted to, but our races don't necessarily have the intent. There's a very obscure requirement where it could be necessary for them to defeat Aghanim in order to get the hammer out of the Pyramid Fairy area. But that is kind of a
We have the
unlikely
flippers
thing.
already, so that's not gonna.
Well, I mean, you can skip it,
It-
but flippers are not going to help you unless you know how to glitch the big
Yeah,
bomb.
right. For the pyramid fairy itself, I was thinking of the full right side area.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
they
for the
can go
pyramid
right
fairy
side
itself,
dark,
we would need the hammer itself.
Exactly, yeah, this is a very obscure requirement. It can be possible, but it's kind of unlikely. No boy. Caeshura is kind of low on health and tries to go for land mollas. There's 2 hearts in those spots, but each one of those beamos will deal 1 heart of damage whenever they hit you. So that's kind of unusual. The heart disappeared after she went through the door. That's unfortunate. So, now we get to see... Oh, Netara did pick up the flute, I assume. Yes, RPGChick did also pick up the flute in the meantime. So the flute you activate in the middle of Kariko, and it allows you to travel significantly faster than before. Worth noting that Netara does also have the Titansmiths visiting the mountain. Oh, and she's trying to do a bomb jump. This bomb jump allows you to take a little shortcut instead of having to go the long way around outside, but it's a little bit tricky to line up if you don't necessarily know how, so trying it once and then just going around is kind of a fair thing to do, because if you don't try it, you will never succeed. And Zora, disappointing as usual. 20 rupees, not worth it. Yes, you have to pay 500 rupees in order to get the random item from Zora. Also, it looks like Caeshura does not have the big key, maybe? I'm not sure why she's walking back now. Might not have a big key in order to get to this dungeon. Which is kind of necessary. Oh, also, Netara can... Netara tried to do a little clip. Essentially, when you push those little blocks, they are temporarily basically non-existent, and you can essentially make your way. I did not realize you could just go back down. Interesting. You can hookshot through those blocks while they are moving. As soon as they are back in place, you can no longer move. And there's a little clip you can do in order to get past those rocks a little quicker, but it's kind of difficult. Well, if you're not particularly well practiced. Well, actually, it's always a bit tricky. It's easy to mess up, let's put it that way. And have little loading circles again. Hopefully they don't last for too long. Okay, I'm going to close this stuff over here. Hopefully this might help a little bit. Oh boy, I can still hear them playing, but I don't necessarily see what they're doing, unfortunately. Wonder whether this is again on my end. So yeah, I apologize for the stutters and the gameplay not exactly being displayed. I really don't know exactly what's going on. The restream was running fine from this location from Caeshura's PC earlier, but apparently not from mine right now.
Okay, then I'll just... It seems to be your end, actually.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'll switch my setup and then see the time.
Okay, let me see.
Can watch all of them.
Alrighty, I'm going to try and ask them to reduce maybe the bitrate. It might be that my connection via to the internet thing might not quite be as solid as I would like it to be. Either way, for now we can see what they're doing here, probably. Yeah, they're currently just readjusting. I still can't see...
Yeah, so RPGChick is going through Skywoods.
Okay, Netara.
Caeshura visiting circuit, and I can't see Netara.
I can't see Netara. I can't see Netara either right now. Either way, essentially our races are now starting to enter the Dark World. The Dark World is actually kind of scary in that all the enemies now deal pretty much double the damage compared to what you have experienced before. They take a lot more hits in order to defeat them, so you kind of want to avoid them if you can. It's essentially overall just a bit of a more scary place to traverse, but there's quite a few chests and item locations along the way that you want to pick up. There's also the dungeon just in the middle of Dark Kakarika, so to speak, that is called Thieves Town. Thieves Town allows you to get essentially one dungeon completed reasonably easily, usually. Although the boss at the end is kinda tricky to take on if you don't necessarily have experience or good equipment, or both. With both lacking, it's kinda difficult. Maybe it's the RTMP server. Oh boy.
Ah, there we go. Netara is just activating her flute.
Can you see Netara?
Yeah, right now. And she found
Okay.
silvers, so that must have been Darkness Mountain.
Okay, so it is again on my end. There we go. Now it
I
finally
had
does
problems
again.
with RPGChick, also just have to refresh more often and hope.
Okay, I think we should be back. I have an idea as to why this is now, but unfortunately there's not much I can do on my end in order to fix it. Right now it is. Either way, so we have RPGChick in the bottom left visiting Thieves Town. Thieves Town is basically the dungeon in Randomizer that as soon as you enter Dark World, usually you can clear Thieves Town, but again, getting through Thieves Town is a bit of a tricky affair very often, because the enemies in here deal a lot of damage. If you don't have armor upgrade already and a good chunk of harps, or maybe even a fairy in a bottle that revives you when you die, or red potion that heals you, it can be kind of spooky to try and complete. And especially the boss at the end, it's basically a bullet hell. If you know how to do the pattern and get the hits in really quickly and efficiently, it's pretty simple, all things considered. But it is one of those things that it gets a lot easier with practice, and I don't think our races here have all that much practice yet. You see Netara in the top right visits Skullwoods, also has picked up somewhere a shield. Shields are nice because they block projectiles. So the small shield blocks simple projectiles, the bigger shield, the red one, blocks fire projectiles, and the biggest shield blocks, well, the bigger fire projectiles, and also laser beams if necessary. Except for the beamos for some reason. They don't block beamos projectiles. Also Netara having trouble with a beetle. Alrighty. Bump the beetle into a bumper and tries to go up there. That doesn't work that way. Unless you could actually hookshot up there if you want to. The thing is, you don't necessarily know. Caeshura, RPGChick managed to get past what we call the Hellway. The Hellway is essentially a conveyor belt, constantly going down, spikes all over the place, fire snakes trying to catch you, and those weird little monster ghost thingies, ectoplasms, dealing a bunch of damage to you. So it's not uncommon that you take a lot of damage there. It's a reasonable thing to just use one of your invulnerability items to get through there if you have any. They do have both right now. Actually, Caeshura does not. RPGChick has both the cape and also the cane, the blue cane that would give you invulnerability, so she will have to go through there the hard way whether she wants or not.
Has a world sets in?
Alrighty, we just saw RPGChick kill an enemy after stunning it. In Randomizer, the stun prices are also well randomized. And in this case, we get red rupees from stunning an enemy and then killing them. In the vanilla game, if you stun an enemy and then kill them, you get a green rupee. If you freeze them and then smash them with a hammer, you get a full magic container refill, which in the randomizer might just be a green rupee instead this time. We see in the meantime Netara explore a bit more of the overworld in the dark world, which is maybe an interesting or wise choice depending on how comfortable you are taking on blind. Which, well, we have RPGChick already trying to take on blind. Worth noting that my stream is a bit off sync with the music. I'm going to try and refresh this as soon as the fight is over. So the way blind works is blind you need to hit 3 times in the head per phase, and there's 3 phases, so 9 hits total. It does not matter how much damage you deal to blind, as long as you deal any form of damage. So the Cane of Burnout that RPGChick just used came in very handy. And RPGChick got her second crystal, actually. Both Desert Palace and this other one here were crystals, and that is very much necessary. I'm going to try and refresh this. Hopefully.
Yeah, small note though, there is one chest in Thiefstown that is locked by the hammer, so yeah, at the moment not able to open it. And as it turned out, there's actually an item in there.
I see.
So that item is actually important.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's say that's gonna be one of the very last locations they are gonna check.
Probably, yes, that is true. I actually forgot about that until you just mentioned it. But yes, there is one item in Thiefstown where you need the hammer in order to get it. They don't have the hammer yet. It could be that there's actually a small key in that chest, so as a racer you actually don't care about it. But there's an interesting little quirk where if you know the logic of the randomizer well enough, you can actually predict where what you can or cannot have. For example, if there's a small key locked inside that chest, in the big chest, that means blind is technically locked behind the hammer, even though you clearly don't need to hammer in order to defeat blind. This is essentially just to as a failsafe in case people decide to use the keys in weird places, in very unusual spots. And that can happen when you're not particularly experienced in Randomizer. Okay, Caeshura did not yet open up the... Oh, I think... Oh.
No, she did not open up the hole to give light to the boss room.
Nope, she will have a surprise if she even gets there. 2 hearts is not a whole lot for this dungeon, unfortunately.
No,
oh, nice. RPGChick just picked up the red mail. So this means all damage they receive, unless it's from traps or from projectiles, is quartered. So that's very handy, especially when you might not be particularly experienced in running this game yet. Oh no! Oh boy. So RPGChick is now arriving at what we generally call the Hype Cave. The Hype Cave is called because originally, in earlier versions of the randomizer, this cave usually had 2 or 3 or even more items that gave you some progression. In this case, well, we received some rupees, a single arrow, a heart piece, and that's a lot of it. So not a whole lot of interesting things here. RPGChick currently has a little frog following behind her. This froggy you want to bring back to his home in the light world. Now, in order to get back to the light world, they currently have to save and quit. Because normally you have the mirror in order to go from the dark world back to the light world. But, well, right now they do not have the mirror actually. So they have to save and quit in order to get back to the light world. Thankfully with the flute your travel around the world is reasonably quick. So RPGChick can deliver the little froggy, which has turned into a dwarf, much less cute, and see what the items she gets. she will be able to deliver this little guy and get a random item. So this is kind of a... Well, if you have a mirror, picking up this item from the dwarf or blacksmith is significantly easier. But sometimes it can pay off quite well. So, it turns out the blacksmiths just gave you their hammer. And the hammer is one of the biggest items to unlock content. Because the hammer allows you to just hammer down pegs. And that is kind of a big deal. Since there is numerous dungeons which you literally cannot complete without having the hammer. At least not in glitchless logic, let's put it that way. There is... also the case of... the hammer essentially doubles as a pretty strong weapon. The hammer does damage equivalent to the third upgrade of your sword. Right now they are still running around with the very first sword, and 2 upgrades more and the hammer will still deal the same damage. Which is interesting because, well, the hammer does have kind of a terrible hitbox, so even if you already have it, it might not be the best weapon anyways. But if you're comfortable and someone proficient in using it, it will be quite handy. Also RPGChick, using some game knowledge, if you bonk into certain trees, you get, well, useful things out of it. In this case, that tree specifically gives you a fairy out of it if you just bonk into it, so that is very nice. Netara, in the meantime, fighting blind, already 2 heads down. He does have the Kin of Burner, but right now it doesn't look like she will need it. He has plenty of health left over, only 1 more hit in order to finish this, and there goes down blind. Pretty good, I would say. Worth noting that RPGChick could have actually gone over to the east side of the Dark World by going or swimming through the lake, because they do have the flippers. Oh no, the little circles of death. I think we hopefully are good again.
Yeah, all 3 is running for me right now, so just refresh and then we should be good.
Right now it's still running. Okay, Netara will actually figure out in just a second that if you have the froggy behind you, will not be able to do the digging game, unfortunately. It's a bit of a quirk of the thing. Oh, I think she just remembered, apparently. On the other hand, RPGChick just is about to do Alec Baldwin's digging game, and gets a full heart piece out of it. More health is always nice, I would say. So that's pretty awesome. And Caeshura will probably... well, she just figured out that he is missing something. Now, this can be a bit tricky to figure out if you don't actually necessarily know what the chain of events is in the dungeon, but...
yeah, but she goes so straight towards where she has to go. I would be surprised if she doesn't.
Yes, absolutely. She has a really good idea on what's happening. We have now a purple Ultros in the top right. We have a sprite with a red jacket on the bottom left. And the blue Sailor Moon in the top left. So the armor is not quite the same yet. And then again, Thieves Town is a mean dungeon, especially if you get caught on one enemy, it can just bounce you back and forth. Just that. RPGChick using the hammer to bonk down all those pegs, opening up a secret cave where she finds the bugnet. So the bugnet is not a required item by any means, at least not usually, but it does allow you to actually capture bees and fairies in bottles. Bees, if you capture them in bottles and release them, they will allow you to, well, have a little buddy attacking enemies. It's not particularly strong, it's not particularly good, but the big deal is being able to capture fairies in your bottles, because those fairies allow you to get revived when you die. And dying is kind of common, let's put it that way. So having a bugnet is really awesome, I would say. I'm not entirely sure where Netara picked up another shield, but I like the red shield. Allows you to block fire projectiles. I'm kind of one of those few people who still really likes having a better shield, just because it's really nice to have, I guess.
I think the fire shield you just rarely realize when it actually does something. But I mean, it can't be bad.
Yeah.
And the third tier shield, you do realize it, but I heard it lags a bit. I have no clue how much it actually does. So
Yeah. Let's put it this way, the first two shields are kind of very minor in the benefit they provide, it's true. They're not the greatest. The thing is, they are, however, the predecessor, since this is upgrading logic, meaning you cannot get the strongest shield unless you pick up the previous shields first. So it's essentially you get the weakest shield no matter what, then the second one, and then the third one. So you don't really have a choice in the matter in this kind of logic. But once you pick up the third upgrade of the shield and are able to block certain laser beams, that actually makes certain sections so much easier. It's amazing. The previous two, they're nice to have, not all that great. So, and we see RPGChick go back up Death Mountain. She does now have the Titan Smiths, so she would be able to visit the Dark World Death Mountain if she were to choose to do
maybe
so.
direction of Hera first, because she also has the hammer and the book.
Oh,
Hera's only
true.
a green pendant, but she doesn't have the mirror, so if she goes into the Dark World, she cannot go back unless she goes all the way up again.
Yes, indeed. Seems like RPGChick did indeed realize that. So, there's actually two ways to go up to the Tower of Hera. Normally, in the vanilla game, you have a mirror to go through the Dark World, mirror back to the Light World, and then jump down over to the tower. The secondary way is you have the hookshot and the hammer in order to go the roundabout way to Tower of Hera. And oh boy, that is a really nice item right there. So RPGChick just found the fire rod. The fire rod allows you to, well, light things on fire from a distance, which is really handy. Plus it's actually a pretty solid weapon for a lot of cases. And
Wow.
you didn't need anything else in order to finish the game now? I think that
The
might
bow?
be it already. Oh yeah, the bow. That's true.
Bow, we have Swamp, so we need the mirror also.
Oh, that is alright. Yeah.
And potentially Bombos for T-Rock. I'm just surprised. Sarah only has, well, 1.5 items left.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently RPGC just wants to go really thoroughly and just complete everything.
Yeah, this is
I mean,
kind
it
of
depends. If she actually, for example, managed to find the swords, then she could do Ether Tablet and not only be able to read if there's something there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and the sword. Like, Fighter Sword is not that great for finishing the game, I guess. But yeah,
Also,
remember what I said about the last chest in Seastown? Netara is completely just throwing everything away that I said.
Oh my
And
goodness.
checking it immediately after getting the hammer, basically.
Wow. That is not something you usually see. Maybe it will pay off. Maybe it will be amazing. Oh.
Sadly not. But if that paid off, that would have been game-winning move right there.
Yeah, very much so, because this is not a location you willingly go back to normally, since it takes such a long time to get back here. Funny enough, Netara and Caeshura are both in the same room just now for a moment. Netara could just save and quit in order to go places quicker, I feel like, but
I guess she wants to go outside still. What do we have?
you will still be faster
Vampire
saving and
Cave?
quitting, wave the flute, and then just going to the Dark World the normal way. But then again,
Probably.
maybe just a little bit of sightseeing. You very rarely see those dungeons move through backwards, honestly. So, even...
Don't even know where the ladders are, the stairs are to go back up.
Yes, it's true. Same here. Because even, well, people who know the randomizer pretty well, you will get to see a bit more of the dungeon than usual. And maybe you did not even know how to get back outside the normal way, because I don't think I've ever tried. But hey, she found her way outside. That's pretty awesome. Caeshura in the meantime fighting blind. So while the charged up sword swing does not deal any additional damage to blind, it's really nice in order to have more range though. So Caeshura takes care of blind. I think she used the bottle with the red liquid. but that is way better than dying. So very solid, I would say. In the meantime, we find the second item that is in Tower of Hera. In that chest, there's only 2 possible unique items in Tower of Hera, and RPGChick just picked up the second one. The first one was actually crazy good, and if she really wanted to, she could actually go ahead and defeat... Oh, she doesn't know there's no second one. No, this will be map or compass. If RPGChick really wanted to, she could go ahead and complete Turtle Rock right after this. Probably, unless Turtle Rock entrance is sealed by Bombos, they, well, already have access to everything in there, which is rather unusual.
That Trinex fight is still not gonna be easy, so even so she has a green goo at least. Hammer Trinex.
Hammer Trinex is
magic.
tricky. Also, Netara tried to run around with the blue chest. If you press the A button, you actually drop the blue chest in the spot. So, making it rather difficult to navigate. You can, however, jump down ledges with it, so that's fine. Oh. Is she trying to go back to the digging game? You cannot do that with the blue chest either. Even if you...
Yeah, you also can't... Even if you leave it 3 screens away, it just will not work.
Indeed. Something's following you. And
we've all been there.
Just finished the Tower of Hera. Tower of Hera was not a required dungeon, because it was only a pendant. You only need to complete the crystals. However, she did get the green pendant out of it, and if you show the green pendant to Sahasrara, which is close to the Eastern Palace, you will get 1 additional item. So that 1 additional item could pay off. It could be completely pointless as well. We don't know. Also, let's see real quick. I'm going to refresh my chat because I feel like I kind of lost connection there to chat as well, and I couldn't read anything recently. So hello chat, how are you guys doing? Alrighty, we will see in just a moment what the medallion requirement is going to be for Turtle Rock at the bottom left. Chat is doing awesome, that's nice. You have to have the hammer in order to hammer down those pegs in order to get up there. And it is ether. So you need ether in order to open up Turtle Rock, which means, in theory, RPGChick, there's nothing standing in her way to completing this dungeon, except for maybe it is kind of difficult to beat the final boss with just a fighter sword. Like, that is really not easy. So RPGChick does the smart thing, I dare to say, and goes to check the chests on the side here. There is 4 chests in Hookshot Cave, as it is called, and there is 2 more chests in Super Bunny Cave. Those will allow you to, well, check whether you might get a certain upgrade. Oh, there are the silver arrows. That is where Netara picked up the silver arrows earlier. The silver arrows are essentially an arrow upgrade that allow you to pretty much one-shot all enemies that are not invulnerable to arrows, with 2 exceptions. The final Ganon fight is... he needs 4 arrows to be defeated, and the Vitreous boss fight, he needs 2 arrows to be defeated, but at the same time, silver arrows are crazy good, you're always happy to see them pretty much. Oh, she's jumping down.
And Netara finally going to the Misery Maya area, showing us that if we actually ever want to go in there, we need Quake, and there's the mirror.
That is a really, really nice one, actually. Oh, RPGChick trying to do the little clip, not quite aligned right, but that's okay. Yes, Demarine, that sounds about right.
Let's see if she remembers that she can know. She could have gone now with the mirror directly to Checkerboard Cave, but yeah, it's... you don't always, like, recognize those things when you get an item.
Right. Also, Xcodes, do you mean... oh my god, I can't believe she found that! I did it for you, Xcodes. I did it for you. Make sure to bring, I don't know, bring some tulips to my grave, please. Either way, let's see. I think actually Caeshura has yet to go up the mountain. But she did just remember that there was a bonk rock.
She hasn't yet.
And we even get to see the Spike Cave. So the Spike Cave, by logic, you need one magic extension. That means either the half magic upgrade or you need a bottle, at least, in order to be able to complete this. Because essentially the logic is attuned to you being able to clear this cave without taking any damage whatsoever.
It has actually changed recently, but
Oh,
I'm not sure how far. Yeah, for a long time, one-hit KO and normal logic was the same, so you would have to be able to get through this without taking damage. But they recently changed that, but it makes it a bit sketchy. Like, you can make it with, I don't know, 16 hearts without any health refill. Like, I'm not sure what the official requirements are anymore for Spike Cave.
I see, I didn't know that. Fun fact, by the way, if you're running with the old man following behind you, you actually move slower than walking. Oh, don't do that. Because he's too slow and old, he cannot go particularly fast. You have to slow down, youngin'. Alrighty, also, the nice thing about getting or rescuing the old man is actually you also get another save and quit location. So if you are saving and quitting, and once you start at certain places, you can now, or Caeshura can now start back at Death Mountain. Okay, Caeshura didn't really respond much. Sorry, Xcodes.
So I guess I'm the only one that can hear Caeshura's responses when they are awesome, right?
Oh, I guess so, that's true. Yeah. You can.
I was able to earlier, at least.
It's true. Yeah, don't worry about that. Alrighty.
So Netara going straight to Swamp, which I love early Swamp play. Sadly, now that with the hint tiles, it is in theory not that great anymore. But they don't use the hint tiles anyway, so I again approve of it. 6 items. If we ignore left side, maybe 1 item or 2 items less, but except left side, Swamp is also a pretty fast dungeon.
Indeed. And Netara is kind of missing on my screen again. Sorry guys, not sure what I should do about that. Worth noting, by the way, they used the book in order to go into Desert Palace. You don't necessarily have to use the book in order to get in there. You can alternatively use this Dark World access here and then use the mirror in order to go back to Desert Palace as well. That is a secondary option. Also, very nicely, RPGChick remembers there is this checkerboard cave in the top right of the desert area, and you can only get here with the mirror and Dark World access. Only 50 rupees, but hey, the location of your list that you no longer have to worry about.
Since we don't want to come back for Misery Maya anyways, hopefully no need to be here again.
Yes, Misery Mire and Skullwood are 2 pendant dungeons. Each one of those dungeons does not have particularly many items in there. And the only reason why you would ever finish those dungeons is either you get, or you are really desperate for finding that last item that you need in order to beat the game, or alternatively, there might just be that last item on the pedestal and you require all 3 pendants in order to get that item from there. So those red birds, by the way, those murder crows, they're actually really spooky. They deal a lot of damage. Well, they do have a proper armor upgrade, but still. Oh yeah, actually, RPGChick is now already going over to Palace of Darkness. Only Caeshura earlier went to visit. Oh, she got hit. If you get hit by the monkeys following you, he will just run away. So she has to go back and grab it. Only Caeshura only went to complete Eastern Palace and got the mushroom out of it. I don't think we've seen yet what the mushroom actually gives you.
No, don't think so.
Yeah. Either way, now RPGChick, having both the mirror and also access to Palace of Darkness, can actually make it reasonably nice to just go ahead and visit first Palace of Darkness and then immediately just mirror right outside Palace of Darkness to get to Eastern Palace, because that is literally right there. And it's also very efficient. The only downside is that she does not have a bow in order to be able to complete this dungeon. So, not the greatest, not horrible either. Worth noting that you can use the mirror in dungeons in order to go back to the entrance. So it's not just a tool to get you from the light world to the dark world, but it also actually speeds up your dungeoneering in quite a few dungeons by allowing you to return to the entrance right away. Alternatively, the only other option would be to just kind of take a death in order to work back to the entrance of a dungeon. In the meantime, Netara bravely dungeoneering through the swamp area. The swamp, or swamp palace, is one of those dungeons that has a lot of items in it, but at the same time, it's kind of a slow-ish dungeon where you really don't want to visit the left side because that takes even longer. Unless you know you don't need any more items, and if you don't need any more items, you can pretty much go straight through and you're really fast through it. It's one of the only two dungeons alongside Skull Woods that do not require the big key in order to complete this dungeon. So possibly Netara made this entire trip over to the left side for no reason at all. Or maybe it could be the big catch, who knows. I don't really expect our racers here to necessarily want to skip any chests at all, because when you're not particularly advanced yet, you don't have to worry about skipping chests unless you
Netara and Caeshura have already proven that they won't, considering that they went back into Thieves Town as quickly as possible.
I see. Did Caeshura also go back?
Yeah, Caeshura also basically got the hammer right after leaving Thieves Town and then went back into...
I see. I like that little pause that Netara did there after finding 300 rupees. You know, 300 rupees is really nice. You can buy potions and a lot of safety with it. I wouldn't complain too much about that, except that, well, it's not really what you're looking for.
Perhaps 1,000 or so. Always nice to have.
Indeed. Actually, we could have checked whether or what medallions required for Misery Mire earlier, but I kind of
Misery Mire was Quake.
Was it Quake?
And Turtle Rock was Easy, so we do not need bombos.
Alrighty.
At all, since we also have the Fire Rod for Ice Palace.
Ice Palace you can clear either with having the Fire Rod or bombos, but you need one or the other in order to do that. In this case, they already have the Fire Rod, so they can clear the entirety of Ice Palace. Ice Palace is one of those dungeons that's actually kind of difficult, especially if you don't necessarily know where to go properly. Can take a while to complete it, and only has 3 items in it. So if you don't have to clear it, you would rather not. Maybe you like Ice Palace. Maybe you're crazy. I mean, I like Ice Palace.
It depends. I like Ice Palace more in Key Sanity, but as I said, now that Ice Palace has 3 hints, which might potentially tell you like what's in left side swamp, Ice Palace has become a lot more valuable.
That's true. With the inclusion of hints, Ice Palace does have a significantly higher value. Although I dare to say, it is still kind of tricky to traverse because you get the first item more or less right away in Ice Palace, or at least the first chest. But then you walk for like 2 minutes until you arrive at any other item location. Ice is nice. It can be indeed. Netara is now moving forward, using the little... I don't even know what this pocket is called. It's basically a bunch of pots with a good amount of restorative.
Yeah, there's I don't know which type of randomizer where the small key can also be shuffled into those pots.
Oh, that's right. That is Randomizer.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I guess she just wanted a few more hearts.
Yes.
Which, I mean, what is this? Fighter Sword Argus?
Oh yeah,
Or
that's
Hammer?
actually true. Yes. Alrighty, we are going to
Can't
see.
blame her for liking to have a heart more.
Yes. The way you have to defeat Argus, you have to hookshot one of those little puffballs and then kill the puffballs in order to free the entire boss from those little guys, and then you can take on the main eye itself. So,
Oh my.
because they only have the fighter sword, regular swings actually do not damage those little puffballs at all. So Netara right now chooses the option of just switching to the hammer rare weakness. So it's basically a menu boss if you'd like to look at it that way. So this can just take a while.
Yeah. And as Nori pointed out, RPGC got fully bailed out by Pot and finding the bones there.
Oh, wow.
To be now perfectly on track.
Oh,
And this is
wow.
actually go mode already.
It almost.
She has. No, oh, wait, we have a fighter slot, so
Yes.
it's squad
Yes.
mode.
Exactly. There is
Glorious.
still that one thing that we need. Other than that, this has been ridiculously fast. And it feels like she went just kind of straight to where you need to go. So, worth noting that Netara needs to hit this thing 16 times, if I'm not mistaken, with a fighter sword, or was it 8 times? Or
It should be 8
fighter
times
sword.
because she's doing. Oh, wait, if spins are times 2.
Yeah.
No,
it-
times is with a fighter sword. It
Yeah.
might be either. It's a lot.
It takes a while, let's put it that way.
But it's safe.
It's safe. She could alternatively use the hammer, which deals about twice as much damage as each spin. Alternatively, if she was comfortable with it, she could also use the ice or fire rod in order to deal double the damage of a hammer. So only 4 hits with those each. But it's kind of tricky to hit it with it. So it's at your own discretion. But hey, very solid fight, no real problems at all. Maybe not the fastest, but no problems, which is nice. Kay got distracted playing the flute and was never heard from again. Yeah.
But she's gonna show us what the mushroom actually brings to us, finally.
Yes. At this point, the best things she could get is a sword, I would say. Which would be really handy.
Yes, sword or half magic. I think
Yeah.
especially for them, half magic is a huge find.
Yeah, it
I
was
personally also
just
always love it.
a little rupee. I mean, a red mushroom turns into red rupee. Sounds like would be reasonable, I guess. And it looks like Caeshura moves on forward to Zora. So this is actually kind of the normal way how you visit Zora normally in order to get the flippers. Because you cannot normally swim without. And so you have to walk. So she will also get kind of that deal, I guess. In the meantime, RPGChick already completely demolishing this poor. Aw, the poor lizard is already dead. RPGChick is
Yeah.
cool. So what you need to do
It's-
is you need to hit the mask of this guy with the hammer 17 times or 4 bombs plus 1 hammer swing in order to remove the masks and then deal a bunch of damage. Now the thing is, silver arrows deal so crazy much damage that they just one-shot the boss as soon as he loses his protection or protective helmet there. In the meantime, Caeshura goes on and grabs whatever item is on the ledge there, so that will be quite something. RPGChick just kind of flying to the seat.
It's okay.
This is the perfect scenario, essentially, where you have a mirror, you are here, you can immediately mirror from the dark world to the light world, you have everything you need to clear the dungeon. It just needs to pick up the big key and we'll be able to finish up everything. Netara, in the meantime, picks up a blue rupee from the catfish. Catfish is one of those locations that is so far out of the way that you kind of really don't want to visit it if you don't have to. because it just doesn't really combo well with anything at all, except if you have yet to visit Zora. If you didn't visit Zora yet, you can mirror from Catfish in order to get over there. Now the problem for Caeshura was that she couldn't actually even get to Zora doing this. She had to get the mirror first from Mr. Meyer. Of course she doesn't know that it is there, unless they were somehow communicating, but this is usually being played blind, which means you cannot see what your race opponents are collecting. So you're just on your own trying to do the best routing. Essentially you're playing a numbers game. So, also Netara is taking the quick road up to Tower of Hera, so that's kinda nice. She will get her fire rod in there. Caeshura figuring out that you need quick in order to open up Mr. Meyer, and looks like she is immediately entering it. Oh boy. You do not have to clear Mr. Meyer at all, but oh, she does know that.
But looking at her screen, she also hasn't checked yet.
Oh, she doesn't have
which
enough
the
magic.
dungeons are with. Like, at least her tracker still says that everything is question mark, so she doesn't actually know yet that Misery Maya is a pendant.
That is actually a very good point. Maybe she realizes that she didn't do desert yet. Actually, she did get the bookshop, so she actually was in desert before.
Yeah, she was in desert and forgot the big key. I'm not sure what happened after that. I know she got the big key.
Right. I have no idea.
And I guess then she just stepped out, which would be fair because she had both items. And then now she forgot that she has to go back into desert.
Well, we'll see. It is more efficient that if you have to back out of desert to just come back later when you have better weapons in order to finish up this dungeon a lot quicker. So that's a lot more efficient. RPGChick, in the meantime, finishing up Eastern Palace. Thanks to the silver arrows, all those Armos Knights are just a one-shot, no problem, and we managed to just move on. Netara decides to also climb the Tower of Hera, getting whatever is in the basement, which I think is the big key. As we know, this is not gonna be necessary in any capacity, but, well, Netara has no idea, so...
Well, we'll only see now if it is not necessary, because RPGChick is gonna turn in the green pendant.
Well,
which
I guess
is gonna drop from old arm.
It could be a sword, but that's kind of the only thing. But yes.
But again, that's true.
The green pendant allows you to get the item here from Zrazrala. So let's see what that is going to be. Kind of topical, I guess, that we just get to know that right now. It's just a red rupee. Kind of unusual to not get any swords for so long, though, I would say. But as you can see, absolutely possible. That is the randomizer for you. Sometimes you get already up to the best sword in the escape sequence. Caeshura goes out the backside of the hookshot cave, which allows you to get one of the items on the floating island. The floating island is essentially a place where she can only get the item if you have the mirror. She does have the mirror now, so she can go and check it. Or, oh yeah, that's
it's
also...
a shovel. Ooh.
Shovel can be required, who knows. Berries are very nice to have. She does not have yet the bugnet. Where was the bugnet? The hammer pegs, right?
I have no clue.
I believe the bugnet was at the hammer pegs, so unfortunately she couldn't bottle up a fairy. Otherwise, that's one of the things I always like doing. A bit more safety really doesn't hurt.
Gotta leave it to them. I think at this point all three runners have shown me spots where there are fairies, which I did not know of before.
Well, knowing those is quite handy. There's also a fairy spot at the top of Tower of Hera. You can drop in the top leftmost hole, which drops you down like 3 floors into pots repeatedly. And then you land at the fairy thing, you get a fairy and you can teleport right back up to the top. It's kind of slow, but if you're low on hearts, you might as well go for it. Or if you want to capture a fairy. Worth noting that you have to hit Moldorm with the fighter sword 6 times. It doesn't matter whether you charge it up or just swing it. 6 times is the number. If you hit Moldorm with the hammer, it's only 3 times total. Yeah, Netara just hitting Moldo. Oh goodness. If you fall down the middle hole, that is literally the worst case scenario because it takes such a long time in order to get back up. If you fall down on the side, at least you're back up really quickly again. But the middle is really not good.
Yeah, you just drop down 2 floors instead of 1. As you can see, just 1, so it's pretty quick to get up again.
Indeed. The health on the boss, however, does reset, so she will have to deal the entirety of the damage again. And if you try to fight this boss without a sword upgrade or without a hammer, this boss can actually be quite tricky. This is, by the way, how you pretty much have to defeat him in the regular game as well. Like, you don't actually get any sword upgrades or a hammer in the vanilla game either, which makes him kind of tricky to deal with. It's not too terribly bad overall, and she got it just now, which is nice. But he can definitely bump you into the hole if you're just a little bit careless or try to go a bit too fast. It happens very quickly. Caeshura finally gets her mail and has a really nice routing right there, because she did get the shovel and will be able to immediately check the shovel spot as well. Only red rupee, but that is actually really good routing. Who is the Valkyrie talking? I do believe that is Nikki. Nikki Noel, who is currently on host duty. And also commentary for that matter, because it's impossible for me to keep track of everything, honestly.
Yeah, I still want to say it shouldn't be that difficult to keep track of 3 streams. The problem is just there's not enough screen for 3 screens, so they are overlapping, and then it becomes difficult.
Oh boy. I wonder whether you can hear that in the background just now, Nikki, from me.
I heard something.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I have my microphone set to a very specific kind of noise gate, so the stream is not gonna hear it, but on Discord, I didn't realize that I actually didn't do that, because I can literally just shout next to my microphone, and it's not gonna pick it up unless I talk right into it, but on Discord that is not the case, so you might actually get to hear a bit more than usual.
All good.
Alrighty, worth noting that I think RPGChick is still kind of looking for swords. There have been pretty much no swords along the way. Oh, and also RPGChick decides to ignore the left side of Swamp and just go straight through. The thing is, there is 3 other swords in this game. The chances that she would need to go to the left side of Swamp to just specifically pick up any of the swords is not that high. So this is definitely a good thing to do, just skipping left side. And on top of that, if you just feel like you can go straight through, defeat the boss, you can come back inside into Swamp. It actually only loses you a few seconds if you complete the dungeons first and then go back to the left side, back inside. Unless the big key is on the left side and then you have to backtrack back to the middle, which loses you a bit more time, which is actually the case
I don't
right
expect her to go back in because the left side had a compass and the big key, so it's one item and the big key.
Yes, indeed.
It just takes forever.
It takes forever, and if you are a bit more experienced, or if you have watched a bunch more Randomizer, you know, skipping left side Swamp is kind of normal. Can come back to bite you, it usually doesn't.
Yeah, to me it also depends just where the big key is. Like, if the big key is in the back, then it's actually better to go back in after defeating the boss.
Yes.
And then doing left side Swamp altogether. Of course, if the big key is on the left, then you're kind of screwed if you went through.
Yeah, but essentially you
but
don't
yeah,
really
I personally
know.
prefer to just run through, and if the big key is in the back, then I just go in most often, even for big chest and left side.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, RPGChick now faced with the concept of, or the reality of you cannot really hit those little puff balls with the fighter sword. And also the hammer hitbox is kind of awkward if you are facing up or down. It's actually the worst trying to hammer something that is above you. Since your hammer hitbox is just tiny and your hurt box, or when the enemies just bonk into you that they deal damage to you, it makes it really awkward to try and do anything. Netara in the meantime, exploring the Eastern Palace. I didn't quite pay attention whether she went over here by visiting the Dark World and mirroring here, but she will find a mushroom. Maybe she will go and sell the witch some drugs, I guess.
Caeshura and me did do a race last year. It wasn't this swordless, we also had pretty late swords, and the problem was that Caeshura somehow didn't find Paradox Caves, so she had like no sword and no bow or maybe fighter sword, but no bow, because the sword and the bow were in Paradox Cave. That kind of threw her off guard.
Yeah. And I don't think last year's seed was swordless, was it?
It wasn't officially swordless, it was like just pretty late swords, but...
Right. Yeah, that
I mean,
happen.
they shouldn't be too worried, in my opinion, just because... apparently RPGChick miscounted. Her tracker says she has 2 left, 2 items. But yeah, I mean, GT has another 22 items. It's pretty likely that there is a sword in there. So for the sword, even those upstairs, so 26 can be a sword.
Yeah.
I personally would not be too worried.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried either. In all the randomizers I did like a few hundred runs, I would say. I've had it twice ever where I did not end up getting a sword until after I cleared Ganon's tower and had to go out there and find one. Because most of the time when you go into Ganon's tower with just a fighter sword, you will find at least 1 additional one, sometimes even 2, in order to make it even easier in order to defeat the final boss. Worth noting, by the way, that you do not necessarily need these silver arrows in order to defeat the final boss. However, it is, I guess, kind of a minor bug that you can defeat him without the sword, without the silver arrows, and it's also significantly more tricky, actually. Once you get the rhythm of it, it's not too bad, but at the same time, if you find the silver arrows, it's not just faster, but also significantly easier. So finding them along the way is quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame them. I know when I started off just going to Ganon, asking where are the silver arrows, and then getting them. I'm not sure how confident they are with Master Sword Ganon, now that I think about it, but then again, I see a red mail, I see 4 bottled. That's something you can just try it with because you know how it works in theory and you have a lot of backup. I mean, RPGs, he is at 15 hearts right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of health that Ganon has to burn through.
It's true. She also seems really comfortable with the game compared to the other 2 races, at least from what it looks like. But looks might be deceiving because Ganon is still really tough. He deals a lot of damage, so it's a risky proposition.
I didn't feel that Netara did bad at all. I think Caeshura just had trouble with her routing and with Seastone. She and Seastone just were not friends, but except that, it has been going pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I agree. No, the other 2, they're quite fine. But the thing is, knowledge, just kind of watching other people play Randomizer helps you tremendously. I know Caeshura is not too big into it, but definitely has seen her fair share as well.
I know she has watched you, she has watched Magus quite a lot.
Indeed. So, also we get to see actually a dungeon that we haven't seen the items in yet by Netara. Netara is visiting the Ice Palace. Unfortunately, she did not end up visiting the House of Darkness, didn't get the bow yet, so she doesn't know that it is there. So, Ice Palace, here, this is the chest where you get... this is the one chest in Ice Palace that is really quick and easy to acquire. Everything else is kind of a bit out of the way. Plus, ice physics in this game, oh goodness. Good luck in opening this chest. There we go, good job.
I mean, she has boots. That's a lot. That's a lot for ice physics already. Not having boots is,
Yes, indeed.
makes it a lot worse already.
Indeed. So, worth noting, by the way, that Ice Palace, normally what you're supposed to do is after you drop down the hole, you're supposed to do more or less 3 entire loops through the entire palace in order to complete it the intended way. However, if you have the King of Samaria, instead of having to do another loop in order to get to the boss at the end, what you can do instead is you can quite simply use a King of Samaria block in order to get through there. So that makes it significantly simpler. Because there is other methods of getting to the boss quickly without having to do those loops, like doing one of the infamous Ice Palace bomb jumps. But that bomb jump is actually quite difficult, I dare to say. So if you don't have it practiced and you have no idea how to do that, it's kind of unlikely that the racers are going to necessarily go for it. I can see RPGChick just kind of having a good idea on how to do it and just getting it. Especially with this much health buffer, she might just be comfortable enough to try.
Yeah, but it depends. Like, if you want to check the chests and you have the cane, like, the bomb jump isn't... The bomb jump really only saves time if you want to, like, go mode the dungeon.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to check all the chests anyways, it is usually just more efficient to go and not do the bomb jump. Oh, and
Netara is gonna try.
Looks like. Well, good luck to you. It's not an easy one. Took me ages in order to get somewhat consistent. So little Ultras would like to get bombed just to the bottom left, past those little pegs. Let's see whether she can do it. I'm gonna
what
be
helped me, what I didn't know for the longest, is that the Y coordinate is perfectly set up if you press left going out of the door instead of down. Else you are like always 1 frame off, and you usually move 2 frames pressing up and down most often, so then it turns out really sketchy.
Yeah. Alright, she decides to hit the switch. I respect her trying, however the bomb jump, that is...
Yeah.
That is fine.
As I said, she didn't know that, so she was usually like in the first 1 frame off from the easier setups.
I feel like she got actually pretty close to getting it overall. I don't really know the setups, I don't know the numbers, but look pretty decent to me.
Yeah, it's like you have like 2 puzzle frames at the first, and she had the more difficult one, so she only had like 1 frame for the second, where else she would have 3 frames or something.
It's two pixels for certain setups.
Oh yeah, pixels instead of frames, but yeah. It's not like she was far off, it's just a pretty precise
she was pretty close. Caeshura also getting to the boss and defeating him without any trouble, as it looks like. Very nice. She also has very low magic. It looks like Caeshura might have used a bunch of magic on the boss, but that could have sped up the kill quite a bit. And, oh boy, Netara got down those stairs. Those stairs! Getting into those stairs on ice. Let me tell you, if you don't remember, if you have played this game, those stairs are not easy to get into. If you have boots and just dash into them, it's actually pretty simple. But if you try to just wiggle your way over there, it's really, really difficult. There's actually a new technique now where you can actually just clip into the staircase from the side by doing a sword spin. I've never done that myself, but it looks pretty fancy.
No, what you can also do is like hook from the very far left or right, and then kinda you can just usually do it from the left, and then you just press right and can go down.
Indeed. That is also kind of making it a bit easier, but that's one of those things that you just kind of have to know that is an option. And those doorways. Alrighty, Netara is doing a very nice job, however, to try and get through those. Fire bar, the slow spinning fire bar. It's so much of a threat. Oh, nice. Getting through that room without falling down is difficult, honestly. That was really nice.
This is probably the worst Ice Palace room without boots.
Possibly, yes. I dare to say, for me personally, the one where you have to go down the staircase without boots. I guess if you have hook shots it's not bad, but if you have neither, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, it probably makes it that I most often don't go left, at least not at the beginning.
Indeed. I would say, however, our racers are making pretty steady progress. They have cleared quite a few dungeons by now, so that's really nice.
Yeah, Kay seems to have skipped left side and have forgotten that she has skipped that left side is what she's skipped. I don't know, at least she went to the back again, which kind of confused me. And she still had two chests unchecked, which RPGs had also.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me
Okay, if she did left sides, then she just did not properly track.
I don't know. This is probably a case of where you kind of have an idea what runners do, but you never really paid attention, and so you're just trying to find your way. Like, this is where what I can tell from this is probably a case of where it just doesn't really know the layout of these, how they actually work.
And we actually, RPGC just actually checked the hint tile in Ice Palace, which was actually useful. It said a heart container is above the post, which means Graveyard Ledge is actually completely unnecessary.
Indeed. We saw the Graveyard Ledge earlier by at least one of them. I think it was actually RPGChick checking it. And I mean, heart containers can be useful. Oh, is she going for the bomb jump? Yep, RPGChick is going for the bomb jump. Let's see, good luck to you. Most commonly, you use a sword for the setup.
But I also feel that she positions correctly, and then the last second she moves down once more.
Yeah. The thing is, the fighter sword is actually 1 pixel less wide, which means it can kind of throw you off when you're used to seeing, okay, the sword has to be exactly here after I laid the bomb down, and the sword essentially just touches the bomb or something like that. But that is actually not true for the fighter sword because it's just a little smaller. Can throw you off if you don't know about it. Or if you are just winging it, it's like, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. Again, I really respect them trying.
Definitely.
Not sure where Netara is going. I feel like maybe Netara doesn't know either.
I think Netara get left, then went to the right the whole loop, and then just left again to now go to the boss.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty solid. You need a small key in order to get through here. Worth noting that I believe the boss in this case has to have a small key. Otherwise, she will not be... I don't think we will be able to finish this dungeon. You can discern a lot of item locations which may or may not be relevant or necessary. So this door on the right side is a closed door for Netara, and you're supposed to go through there in order to activate a crystal switch, and then do an entire more loop to push down blocks in order to push onto that switch where she just put a King of Samaria block on top of it instead. So she kind of...
That being said, I think the logic behind Ice Palace is one of the most complicated ones. Yeah. And knowing that Key's sanity pot logic still doesn't work properly,
Oh, it doesn't?
I do not trust it. I know that we had the tournament back then in version 28, and I know in version 29 they again promised to fix it, and since then no one cared about Key's sanity. And the very first seed I did in version 29, Key's sanity actually did not work properly.
I see.
Because there was a hammer behind a single locked location and one pot key in GT. Like, thanks.
So Netara is now fighting those, cotton candy puffballs. Thankfully she has the red mail. Those things, however, still deal 2 hearts of damage each time you touch them. And she is currently trying to use the hammer, which has such a short range. It's really, really difficult to take those guys on. RPGChick immediately uses a green potion to fill up for the fire rod. You only need, I think, 3 fire rod shots in order to kill them. Kill each one of them.
Sounds about right.
One of them dead already. Yeah, already. Netara also switches over to the fire rod. It's so much easier than using the hammer. However, if you run out of
Yeah.
magic, you kind of have to stick to the hammer. Once again,
But you kinda had to because they don't have half magic and they don't have bombos, so they needed a full load of magic
Yes.
just to break the first phase.
yes, there is an alternative way where you can actually substitute arrows for certain fire rod shots, but that's kind of obscure. I would highly doubt they would know about it. By the way, once again, they can actually literally not damage this boss here with the fighter sword swings. They have to. Oh, Caeshura is using bombs. Technique. Ah, no. Rip blue chest. As they literally couldn't actually swing at the boss in order to damage it with the cider sword, they had to do a spin attack, otherwise they didn't deal enough damage to deal any damage at all. So Caeshura was actually pretty smart there, picking up a bomb, because she couldn't pick up the blue chest off the mirror location back to the Dark World anymore. Unfortunately, she didn't wait long enough until she really picked up the chest. While you hold a bomb in your hands, you can actually not transition from Light World to Dark World. So that actually could have helped her. But unfortunately, she didn't quite wait long enough. But really good technique though.
Oh yeah, now that I think about it, Fighter thought and we still have to do T-Rock. I only thought about GT, and yeah, Netara is apparently heading to the Rock, what I would guess.
Oh,
And yeah, not trying to gamble on bow inside part,
Yeah, I respect that.
which is
Basically-
a respectable decision, but obviously you can
Yes.
also make the argument the other way around, that maybe you just find a sword in part and then T-Rock becomes easier, even if it's not helping for a required item.
Indeed. Well, RPGChick purchased a red bomb for 100 rupees and is going to transport it over to the Pyramid Ferry. You can only get this red bomb after clearing out the dungeons that are crystals number 5 and 6. That will unlock the bomb. So essentially, which crystal dungeons you clear is actually somewhat relevant to this. Also, Caeshura has the opportunity to check what is on the Bombos tablet, which I believe we haven't seen yet. If she remembers that, she can actually check it. She can't get the item, so she might not bother, but it would be an option. There is bombs and more arrows in that chest. Netara is actually going for the shovel. Oh, I see. The thing is, in theory, she can clear out Turtle Rock, but it is a pretty brutal dungeon if you don't have an upgraded sword, especially the boss is quite a monster. I recommend to any, let's say, beginner, or even more advanced players that want to just try and go faster and faster. I always like having at least one blue potion, if preferably 2, before I go into Turtle Rock if I don't have at least the Tempered Sword or the half magic upgrade in order to make the boss safer. It's not necessary at all, but it's
that's
just a lot
something.
nicer.
Yeah, that's just something in general. Even many advanced runners should think of and often don't do. That's just getting bonus potions. The safety you get versus the amount of time you spend. It's so often the right play to just go and fill up your potions. And if you see right now, they have 3 or 4 bottles. Okay, sure, has 2, but even 2, like if you have 2 potions, you can afford to do so much more and so many more mistakes
Indeed.
you
You
can
actually see-
actually get away with.
Nice. Oh, RPGChick just used a little technique that is actually exclusive to the Japanese 1.0 version of the game, where if you push a block in a dungeon that does not teleport you out when you use a mirror, and then activate the mirror while the block is being pushed, the block just disappears. Why it disappears? I don't know. They fixed it in other versions of the game, so you're not gonna see it in your English copy, but only the 1.0 version of the game. Kind of strange.
Alright, and Caeshura is now gonna get 2 swords out of Mizurima, I believe.
That would be amazing, actually. So,
That would be super amazing.
yeah. The thing is, I don't know how comfortable those runners are, as you mentioned with Master Sword Cannon. Master Sword Cannon is not easy. Like, even if you have silver arrows, that can still take quite a toll, especially if not.
But if you have
experienced.
potions and a cape, then it's actually not too bad.
Yeah, I agree with you, if you know how, but I kind of doubt that at least one of the runners necessarily knows how to do that. But actually, kind of like you said earlier, it's true. You don't invest that much time, especially if you have a flute, to just go quickly to the witch and grab potions. If you have the money, why not? Might as well.
It's like even like the top tier runners, you every so often just see them randomly dying, and you're just
Yes,
buying potions would have helped you so much.
Yes. Also, I dare to say, I make an argument that Ice Palace, the final boss there, as you could see, it went down so much quicker once they refilled their weapons and got the fire rod. It was so much faster once they finally got the fire rod refilled, and it helped them tremendously. Oh, there's a big shield for RPGChick, which actually comes right in time, because Turtle Rock is pretty much the dungeon where you really would like to have a big shield in. Where's she going now?
She seems to decide against it now, and just I guess she realized I want to have potions.
Oh, wow, yeah, actually, that's true. Perfect decision in my book. Also, you see Caeshura visiting a very odd room that you never really see because it's completely unnecessary to go through. But if you don't know it, this is a possible path through the dungeon. It's
half
slower.
of Misery Maya is like completely unnecessary, which is why there are so many small keys, even so you need like one.
Exactly, but if you don't know that this is a valid way through the dungeon, it will eventually lead you to your goal, so why not?
Sure.
Alrighty, I like RPGChick's decision to fill up on potions. It is so much nicer. I personally like to, especially if I only have the Fighter Sword or Master Sword, just fill up at least one green potion real quick at any opportunity before going to Ice Palace. Because it's not just safer, it's faster too.
Yeah.
At least the way I do it. I'm not the best.
It also depends on how much money you have, if you choose a green or if you just blindly get all the blue potions because, hey, I have 1,500 gold rupees.
Yes, that is true. Rupees can be a concern if you still haven't visited Zora yet, or if you need to pay 110 rupees for Kiki. So that's that. Ooh, Netara is actually moving to the back of Skull Woods. So we haven't seen that yet because you need the fire rod in order to be able to visit the backside here and open up this door.
Yeah, that is just one item, but she seems to... She really does not seem to want to go into pot.
Nope. Which,
I mean, at this point, all she needs for go mode is a bow, so... Can't completely blame her. I mean, at this point, it's still 5 items. But yeah, then again...
I mean, a sword is still required. Who knows where those are? My guess would be that you find the sword in Ganon's tower, but...
There will be one in GT, pretty sure.
Sword on pedestal and the Bombas and Ether tablet being the other swords would be the ultimate
That would
troll.
always be the dream.
It would be the dream. Highly doubt it will happen though. Like that's just kind of out there. Okay. Nice. RPGChick made it past the chain chomp room. Those chain chomps deal so much damage, even through armor, it's ridiculous. And she managed to get through there without taking damage.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Meanwhile, Netara works her way through the backside of the dungeon, going for the quote-unquote optional boss of Mothula. If you play this game without a guaranteed sword, you actually might run into the door or the vines there, not realizing, oh, I can't open up those vines without actually a sword. And she almost got caught by the hand. So many Misery Maya rooms you've never seen. Oh, that's just how it is. Little Moogle. The sprite turns into
I have
a
to
little
admit,
Moogle.
the race I did with Caeshura last year, I was also like, I know the way to the boss. And I got like the fast go modes, Maya, and then I was like, okay, if I have to go back, I will just go wherever I can. Also, we finally got a sword upgrade in Turtle Rock.
Finally. Well, this only took forever.
God, this is Keysanity, where people would actually skip this chest all the time.
Oh yeah, that is true. In Keysanity, all the keys are shuffled into random locations as well. So you might get a... Ooh, Netara, don't die please. Ah, that's unfortunate. Oh, she has a fairy. Nice. Very nice. But yeah, in Keysanity, all the keys are distributed to random dungeons as well, so you might find the big key to Ganon's tower on the pedestal. That is entirely possible, and so you have to go and grab it. But in order to save the small keys that you don't want to find too many of in Turtle Rock, you skip that chest in the lava room, like Nikki said.
Yeah, you can, with three out of 4 small keys, you can clear the whole dungeon except for that one chest. So usually, unless you have all 4, you skip that chest.
Yes, indeed. So it looks like RPGChick is going outside. Okay, she's even checking the Mimic Cave. The Mimic Cave is probably that place that I never knew existed when I was a kid, because this is such a weird location for a heart piece to be. It's kind of crazy.
I never got to activate the flute. Like, my 2 playthroughs were, and one I found the flute and didn't know how to activate the flute. I couldn't be bothered to dig the whole world in order to find it. I don't know. I never found any clues regarding to the flute, so yeah. Never found Misery Maya or the King.
Yes, RPGChick has Go mode, but as mentioned before, she only has a Master Sword, so finding another sword along the way would be strictly preferable over not finding it. Caeshura is trying to use the King of Burn against Lanmolas, which actually works reasonably well. You just kind of have to time it when you use it and where to walk with it. Alternatively, the hammer would deal about 4 times as much damage as her little fighter sword does, but trying to hit Lanmolas with the hammer is a nightmare, let me tell you.
Yeah, you would want to use the Ice Rod, but
yes, absolutely.
It is actually pretty rare that Ice Rod is the way to go here.
Yes,
like,
Ice Rod actually
there are many
has
people that don't think about it.
Yeah, Ice Rod has a very obscure little advantage over the Fire Rod, and that is the Fire Rod actually, you cannot shoot another projectile until it is pretty much off screen. Ice Rod you can shoot forever. It's kind of interesting. So you can spam the Ice Rod a lot better than the Fire Rod, even though the projectiles travel slower. And as you can see, even though Caeshura has red mail, those things, they still beat you quite a bit here. I like the strategy with just charging up the sword. It doesn't deal more damage, but it just makes them so much easier to hit than if you try to just swing at them with the little fighter sword.
And RPG is like showing off how the mirror shield can be easily used in Laser Bridge.
Indeed. I actually never knew until I saw Randomizer people do this, that you can actually use the shield that is on your side to block those laser beams too. I had no idea that was the case. Oh,
talking about getting bailed out, 2 swords in Turtle Rock.
That is fantastic. So RPGChick will pretty much have no trouble anymore finishing up this game at this point, I would say. He also goes out here and then back inside. Why would you do that, Nikki?
So if you actually die and do not have a fairy left in a dungeon, then you respawn in the place where you last entered the dungeon. And so this is kind of basically a safe spot, because now if she were to die, she would get back to Laser Bridge and not to the big chest.
Yes, indeed.
Which is considerably closer.
Also, another little thing that some casual players like me never figured out, you can actually use the powder on those anti-fairies they are called and turn them into regular fairies. Meaning you can fill up your hearts reasonably nice and easy, since there's even a full magic refill just before the boss room. Very nice.
So yeah, in the end, the troll item was probably, like, in a way, is a fire rod in Hera, but like it was only potentially fast because we had the bow and pot and the swords and T-Rock, which are kinda... Yeah, he wants a bow in pot, so you don't go to pot directly, and the same as you would want to have the swords before going to Turtle Rock and not bet on them being in there.
Indeed. So RPGChick seems to be really comfortable against this boss. In order to damage the heads, you have to use the ice rod on the fire head and then swing at it, and you have to use the fire rod on the ice head and then swing at it. The thing is, while one of the heads is exploding, you cannot open up your menu. So you actually have to menu before you do the last damage to the head that you kill first. And RPGChick just kind of did like, well, did that like a pro, really. There's nothing else to say about that. Is that the final crystal? I think that is
that's the final crystal. She only has Galwoods and Misery Maya left, which are both penance.
Yeah, she never has to finish up Skullwoods or Misery Mire, so she can go straight now to Ganon's Tower and finish up this run. This was a really fast seed. Aside from the bow in Palace of Darkness, this was...
Yes, I said it could have been. She also checked quite a lot after getting go mode, like for swords outside of Turtle Rock in order to hopefully get them beforehand.
Yes. I guess the trolliest thing about this entire thing was really that the swords were so late. That's about it. If they were brave enough to dive into Turtle Rock early and just complete it when they were right there, they would have actually been rewarded quite handsomely too, by having a sword for the other stronger bosses too. And those beetles Caeshura is dealing with, they are really, really annoying because they give you so much knockback. It's crazy. Oh, by the way,
can't blame anyone for not doing that.
what do you guess, Nikki? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 21? 22? I forget how many chests there are.
22 chests.
Yeah. So,
yeah, let's go with 22.
RPGChick is now looking for the big key to Ganon's Tower. You have to get the big key in order to be able to ascend the tower, and also make sure that you have at least one small key going up there, otherwise you might get stuck. And there is up to 22 chests. So we have already seen 3 item locations where the big key could have been. We're coming up to number 4, 5, 6 and 7 in just a moment here.
Yeah, I personally hope that we would also have to find a sword in GT, which should have made the big key guessing game kinda obsolete, but Turtle Rock bailed us out hard.
Yeah, Turtle Rock bailed us out really hard. Oh, there is Bombos. Bombos is kind of nice to clear out certain rooms of Ganon's Tower that are basically infested with monsters. And Bombos just instantly kills all of them. It's not particularly fast, but it's a very easy and solid way to do it. The best thing RPGChick could get at this point from the chests is hard magic, I would say. Oh, and Caeshura is using the Kato Samaria block in a really nice way to get through the door. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, half magic is probably the only nice thing left. I mean, there's still the gold sword, but personally, I'm a huge fan of half magic.
Yeah, same here. I really would take half magic over a tempered sword even.
I know the worst thing I think I ever had and having to make a decision was freaking half magic on floating island. And you're like... I did not get it because it should be faster to not get it, but at the same time, it's like your execution has to be so on point in order for you to not regret it.
That's true. That's
also,
a really
not
tough
sure,
one.
so...
That's a tough one. I would say it depends on how far I would be into the run, like if there's still a bunch of dungeons left or if I was literally going to Ganon's Tower, and whether I would have any potions left over.
Alright, there is the gold sword and the big key.
Oh, you actually got to see that a little bit ahead of us. Interesting enough. Oh yeah, we did get gold sword and the big key. So, the gold sword is the strongest sword that you can have. This is normally the one you get by visiting the waterfall fairy in the vanilla game. Oh, and we get to see what's on the pedestal. On the pedestal is just a little piece of love, which means it's a heart piece. Unfortunately, not particularly useful. But at the same time, the only really good thing at this point could be hot magic. Everything else has been acquired already.
Yeah, everything else has been found.
Indeed. Netara at this point also bravely venturing into Turtle Rock. She does still have the bow well standing out that she didn't find yet. So she will eventually have to go into Palace of Darkness without it, or alternatively check all the overworld locations without having it. But by the way, the reason why you always need the bow, even if Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace could be pendant dungeons, are specifically those red mimic enemies that RPGChick just defeated in those previous 2 rooms. You can only defeat those red guys with having the bow, otherwise that does not work. Oh goodness, that sound effect though. Wow. So, RPGChick is now entering what is called the Gauntlet, essentially a series of rooms where you have to defeat all enemies in order to open up the door and progress to the next room. Because of the random movement of the enemies, this can go really fast, or it can take you a while to clear those out. Especially the skeletons just jumping away when you swing your sword at them can be really irritating. A nice thing about the gold sword... Oop, are you okay?
That was just a plastic bottle.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we have tempered sword, or even the gold sword now. You would be surprised when you suddenly have fighter sword and realize how difficult these rooms suddenly become.
Yes, it's true. Not only do you deal less damage, this gold sword is actually noticeably longer than the fighter sword too, or even the tempered sword. Tempered and master sword are the same size, but yeah. Using the fire rod seems like a good use here, because all the enemies die to one fire rod shot. It's just that you don't have infinite magic, so you might want to not use it. Nice use of the powder there to refill your health. Sounds like a good idea to me.
I'm so bad using the silver arrows on these guys.
Yeah, they are tricky to hit. You can only hit the heads of those guys. The nice thing about gold sword is it's literally only 2 swings in order to kill them. But silver arrows are still faster if you time your arrows really well. That was actually a pretty solid one-mana fight. I would not complain about that.
Yeah.
And it's probably some of my favorite rooms here, where use the King of Samaria in order to dispose of the mages. Those mages only have 1 health. King of Samaria only does 1 damage, but that's enough. And it just splits so nicely into 3 projectiles if you just time it well with the attacks, which can be tricky, as you might be able to
It's
tell.
basically the same as what I mentioned earlier. If you actually get a seat where you don't need the cane, this room suddenly feels really weird.
Oh yeah, I've had that like twice as
Or
well.
that room without boots, and you suddenly have to get through these 4 guys. Like, there are some rooms in GT where you're like without boots. They become really sketchy.
Yes, it's true. The boots just allow you to dash straight through those guys, no problem. They can sometimes
It's just in
knock you out,
general,
but
the items you use are items that you have 90-95% of the time. But when you don't have them, it's like, what do I even do here now?
okay, RPGChick got just barely through the door before the first torch went out. She needed to light all the torches in this room before she could go through the door, but it's actually a bit... It's a bit tricky to get there in time if you get stuck on some objects a little bit. So, don't forget to pick up the key from those 2 little guys. No, she actually still has 2 keys, she doesn't need them. And she even skips the 2 chests that were there. I guess she is just that confident, does not need anything else, we can just finish this right now. That's fair.
I mean, who knows where half magic truly is?
That is true. That one pot there has full magic in it, and it's really nice. He doesn't even care about that one chest. Oh my goodness. Can you believe it? When I was starting to run Randomizer, I had to open up every chest. Even if I knew there couldn't be anything particularly good in there anymore, I just had to open them. Oh, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, if you poke with the sword, like just holding it out in front of you, you actually kind of effectively downgrade it to its previous state. Which, in the case of Gold Sword, is still a tempered sword, so it's still pretty strong. But you could finish Ladmolas with 2 swings rather than 3 with the Gold Sword, if you didn't just use a poke instead.
That, on the other hand, gets kind of removed, which is kind of technique. If you like poke while dashing with your boots, then it deals normal damage again.
Yes, that's true, actually.
So you kind of, if you do poking strats, you kind of try to poke with boots, but those are high-level strats that
Yeah, I've never really done that
you
myself.
don't.
It's basically
You
the
most
concept...
often will see it in the Argus fight from really good runners.
Yes, pretty much. It's basically the concept of, if you hold out your sword, it's considered a poke, but if you're running with a sword, it's kind of like you are attack running through the enemies. And basically, even if you are not really yet running with the sword, the game still considers you running, and so you get the full damage out of it.
Yeah, and RPGs, at Aghanim 2.
Indeed.
We need 6 hits. The clones or the shadows always use the ball that you can reflect.
Yes.
The real one has, I guess, a 50-50 chance all the time if it's a reflectable ball or a blue ball.
Yes, I believe that is accurate. Kind of reminds me the first time I ever saw Aghanim as a boss. I had no idea how to defeat him, because if you hit him with a sword, it just zaps you. Kinda mean. But
I'm not sure if I played Link's Awakening before that.
that's fair.
Which has many similar bosses, actually.
Yeah. So it looks like RPGChick has finished off Ganon's tower without any real trouble in a pretty strong time, I would say, on top of it. She is
Goes
now...
back to get a ferry.
Oh yeah, that is a really good idea.
She did that before also, so...
Yeah. I don't know whether she even has a fair in a bottle, otherwise it might be wise to pick up one of those as well.
She still bought blue potions for Turtle Rock. So.
Yeah, that's true. She
Not
did
too
not need
worrying.
to use those. Alrighty, and RPGChick is now going to face the final boss. The final boss has 4 phases. The first phase, you need to hit him 6 times with the Gold Sword, 12 times with the Tempered Sword, 12 spins with the Master Sword, in order to push him into the next phase. And I think there's one more hit. There it is. Then as soon as he starts spinning his trident, he is officially in the second phase, where you need to hit him 6 more times with the Gold Sword, 12 more times with the Master Sword. Yeah, you get the idea. Same amount of damage. And you just try to hit him. The cape is a really nice strategy in order to avoid damage there. It does drain your magic rather quickly, but it's just the easiest and safest way to avoid those bats entirely. There's a minor trick that you can use in order to avoid straining magic with the cape by holding onto a wall or swinging your sword repeatedly. But if you have magic refill, it's not that big of a concern. In the third phase here, you just have to hit Ganon once whenever he is standing still. And you want to hit him before he unleashes a ring of fire with the bats. Otherwise that is getting rather difficult to avoid. He has a 50-50 chance whether he is going to teleport further or whether he does anything else. So, RPGChick? Yep, nice, very nice. RPGChick used a little bug there, where she lit the light torch on the left before the right torch went out. As a result, the right torch will actually never extinguish, and you have to light both torches in order to be able to hit Ganon. Wow. And... absolutely demolished Ganon, I would say. She did not need really anything extra. So I would say that is congratulations to RPGChick, who finishes in a time of just 2 hours, 11 minutes and 18 seconds, I would say. Nice.
Yeah.
That was very fast.
Very solid.
I didn't see anything bad there. Stuff you could maybe do faster, but that was very good. I like
Yeah, I
it.
mean, there were small things like forgetting bonk rocks the first time and having to come back later, but yeah, general execution was just
I mean, forgetting
really solid.
locations.
Here and there some things that have shown that she has actually
Indeed.
like invested time into this a few years, was it 2 years ago or so?
Yes, indeed. That was really, really good. So Netara now coming up to the boss. She decides to go for the ice hit first. Ooh, misses the first shot. Misses the second, misses the third one. You only have 8 shots with each of the rods in order to hit that thing. He does not have any magic refills, so she in theory can still defeat him with just 4 shots, but it's going to be really difficult to do. So I wish her good luck with that execution. Let's see.
Oh gosh, she doesn't even try. Oh my.
Aww. Oh well. But she has 2 swords now. There is most likely no more item that she needs on Shrine X, and she can just come back later with the
Well, she
appropriate
doesn't know
potions.
that. She still needs a bow.
Well, that's true, yeah. But probability is on her side that it's not on there, because it's only one out of many locations where it could be. She always forgets the big key chest. Oh, in the lava room? Oh no, Caeshura forgot the sword. Oh no. That would be a really important one. So those green mimics, basically, well, they are mimics. They literally mimic your movement. And they can be a bit... I like that bonk. Basically, you kind of want to figure out how to hit them.
Yeah, what you usually do later on, once someone has explained it to you, is if you kind of grab... I don't know if you have to grab twice or once, but you can, while grabbing, use your arrow keys and then pretend to move, and that way just manipulate where they are going to.
Yes.
Else, what I think RPGC has done is, like, the first thread I used was, like, using the bow for those that are on the right.
Right.
Yeah, and Caeshura has shown us if you don't do any of those 2 threads because you don't have the bow and you don't know about the grabbings and things, like we bonk into walls and it looks a bit awkward. But it worked. I mean, for what's worse, that's pretty complicated if you don't know any of the grabbing technique and don't have the bow.
The grabbing, it's important to know that you need to entirely release your directional pad, as in D-pad, before you start grabbing. Otherwise, the mimics will not move. And it looks like Caeshura remembered. Nice. Very nice. This could have been a bit awkward without another sword upgrade, because Shrine X is not a nice boss if you only have a Master Sword. Even worse if you only have a Fighter Sword. Also, she does...
Yeah, I mean, Fighter Sword doesn't really matter. You use the hammer then.
Alright, yeah, she got the small key. Very nice. And thanks to the big shield, you can just straight up waltz through those lasers. I like it. Netara goes and actually tells us what is on Bombos. Did she not get the... No, she does have the tempered sword. She just didn't update it on the tracker yet. And it's just a blue rupee. Nothing all that great, unfortunately. She's still looking for that bow. She does not know where it is. But eventually, you kind of run out of options, and you have to pretty much go to that dungeon that you would like to clear with the bow, and couldn't so far. An RPGChick is in chat. Congratulations to you. That was a very swift and clear road to victory. That was really strong.
Wanna head over and tell us about your thoughts about this great seed?
Where was the bow? Well, it was actually in Palace of Darkness. Which, basically in Randomizer, the way you handle it is kind of backwards from the original game, if you think about it. Because in the original game, you get an item in that dungeon, you need that item in order to clear that dungeon, and that's kind of how it works. But in Randomizer, because the items can be anywhere, you usually want to have those items, like, the fire rod for Skull Woods or the bow for for Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace, in order to actually clear those dungeons without having to double dip them, and go into them twice in order to just get random stuff out of it. But frequently enough, you don't have much of a choice, and you just have to go into those dungeons before you have the item to clear them. And
That bow, that stupid bow. I was so angry when I saw it in that chest, especially that chest.
So swords weren't really that much better, though.
No, well, like at least they were all grouped together at some point, and I didn't have to do Master Sword again because I really thought I was gonna have to do that.
But yeah, how comfortable would you have been with Master Sword Cannon, if I may ask?
With silvers, it's not too bad. But if it had been full Master Sword, and no, would have been a problem.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
To be fair, in all my seats, I have never had to do Master Sword Silverless. Something always came
I
up,
did it
so.
once, and only once, and I never ever want to have to do it again.
I totally understand that. What's that? 24 Master Sword wins just for the last phase, 12 for the first and second? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We want a lot of
enjoyed
potions,
that.
red mails, and half magic.
Yes. Personally, the first time I ever did pure Master Sword Cannon, it was just in a race setting. I've never done it before, but you eventually just kind of get into a rhythm where it's really not that bad once you get used to it. But the rhythm is that you need to find first, and if you don't necessarily have a clear idea how to do it, or for that matter, miss the torch glitch, it gets really sketchy.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, yeah, Kay is just doing... Oh, wait.
I think she might think there is a... Oh, there is not. Don't go in there.
Am I behind this time? It seems so.
If you... This is
but
kind of a weird location. But you know, the
I guess
previous
she just
location had an
mistook
item.
it. But yeah, Kay hopefully going to do Trinex now. Netara also... Netara is just dead set on not going to pot unless she has a bow.
Well, she's gonna have to change that pretty soon because she's gonna run out of places to hit. But like, I kept looking for the Master Sword, so I kept hitting other places, and I was so frustrated when they were both in Turtle Rock.
It was like if you had just gone to Turtle Rock immediately and just gone for it, then you could have probably even subdued it, but instead checked the whole world map to then find all the swords.
Oh my god, yeah. But that was a pretty nice seed. So thank you for that pick, Yaga.
No problem. That was surprisingly fast. Like, I thought maybe it could be fast, but I did not expect it to be that fast. Because usually I get seeds that have just kind of pretty fast starts, but then it just tapers off. That is kind of the norm.
Yeah, that's just a normal standard seed, which is really front loaded, and then you're like...
Yeah, that's pretty normal. Caeshura is now on Trinex. I wish her good luck because that guy is not friendly. Does she have any potions?
First, use up all your magic before you use your potion. Okay.
Your wish has
Something
been
to
granted.
note also, which we have to be careful. While the head is exploding, you cannot go into the menu.
Yes.
Which meant she actually had to be careful to not really get hit by that because she was already pretty low.
Hit it. Okay. So once you kill both of the heads, you usually just win, because it's only a few more hits in order to defeat the rest of the snakes. Worth noting that you can actually hit the head of the snake before the middle part starts blinking. But as soon as the middle part starts blinking, the head of the snake will become invulnerable. And I think Caeshura will do it in the next swing right there. Oh, good. Oh, don't die. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
I hope she has
okay.
No. Can we get an audio swap? Actually, the other two do not have only game audio, so we would hear the Discord too.
Well, the problem is I have to run out. So I have to cut my stream anyhow. So I don't know what you want to do. Maybe you want to just play LTC music in the background?
Yeah, I think that would probably be the clever solution.
Because unfortunately I have to run to the doctor, so...
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
But thank you both for doing commentary, and thank you, Yaga, for a not completely horrible seed, because I've had some pretty horrible ones.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you very much for running. Once again, congratulations on beating that really swiftly, actually. So, that was quite nice.
Thank you. Have a lovely day, folks.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Hi, I'm forfeit. I'm like falling asleep.
You're falling... Oh, hi. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm falling asleep. It is midnight and I am falling asleep.
Yeah, over here, bedtime is like 8, 9, and basically Caeshura's been up since 6 AM. I don't blame you at all. So, is Netara going to be finishing this?
Kay already left the channel.
I see,
already.
yeah, I just realized that too. Alrighty, so Netara looks like she is still continuing, and she will have to deal with Trinix. Trinix, oop. So the nice thing about killing the freezing head early is that he doesn't create a, well, icy floor that you can be slippery sloped on it. The downside is that the red head always extends first, which means it is easier to hit the red head first because it's just there earlier. But at the same time, it looks like Netara just got it. Yeah, okay. Now she just needs to hopefully not die. One of the tricky things
Please be careful.
Yeah, one of the tricky things about this game is that if you try to play too passive and playing really safe, it's not gonna really work out in your favor, unfortunately. You have to be a bit more aggressive at times. Because you look at it this way, the faster you kill the boss, the less he can hurt you. Where is the bow? Palace of Darkness. Yep.
Let's just hope that she actually goes to pot now, not to Misery Mine.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting to say the least. What do you think, Nikki? Should we hop over to Netara's channel real quick and ask what she thinks of this seed so far? No? Okay, I was just told that
am just listening towards her talking, and it seems we are gonna go to Maya.
Oh boy.
I mean, that's only like, I can't, like, once you take the part of you will not go into pot. Unless you have the bows and you just pull through. I mean, I have oftentimes done that with Eastern Palace. If you put the bow into Eastern Palace, then you are sure to win a seat against me. Like, it's gonna be the last place I'm gonna check. But yeah.
Yep. Misery Mire is one of those dungeons that has very, very few items for how many item locations there are and how long it takes to actually search through the dungeons. It's kind of like Ice Palace in that respect, where you would rather not go there if you have other choices. I believe Netara actually has not checked the pedestal, so in her mind it's still entirely possible that pedestal does have the bow as well. Actually, that is entirely possible that she is just going to finish this dungeon and grab the whatever is on the pedestal, which we know is not all that useful, but hey, you might as well get to see that right at this point too. So a few tricky things about Misery Mire are probably how many keys there are compared to how many doors. there's a lot of locations where you just don't really want to go, just purely because it's so far out of the way, especially stuff like the original big key chest. You have to go all the way to the left side and wait for about a 20-second rumbling cutscene until you finally can go and drop down to the big chest, or the big key chest. Before that, well, you don't really get anything. Also, hitting that switch is kind of awkward if you are hook-shooting to it, because you cannot stand and hit switches that are below you while you are still blinking from taking damage. Oh, and it looks like Netara is also taking the route to the fishbone room. It's a nice detour. Essentially, there's a crystal switch here that you can press, but it's so much easier to just take another route. Oh,
and the pot also has a small key. Not that you would ever actually need it, but I mean, there are apparently 6 small keys on this.
Yeah, I mean, if she opens up this door here, it's technically possible that she will need to go and grab it, otherwise she might not be able to progress through this dungeon.
True.
Because normally this little, this door with the small key, or the small key door there, I'm not good at talking right now. Either way, that door you don't normally open with a key, so she has one less key than what you normally would have at this point. And if there is no small key on this chest just to the right of here, and then a little bit further to the right, she's actually going to be stuck. I wonder if she even knows that there's a small key in that room. Caeshura picked it up because she just picked up all the pots anyways.
This is a big key, so...
Yeah, actually, you can complete this dungeon without any small keys at all. You can just take the teleport to the boss key door without using the small key.
She now has access to the big chest and to the boss.
Indeed. I like that little dodging into the side room there. That was pretty solid. Because you can go into certain doorways without going through them, but if you go just a little bit too far in, those doorways literally just suck you in and they spit you out on the other room, even if you didn't mean to go all the way through. Kind of silly. So there's another key right here. And then there she has 2 more chests left on the left side. I don't think she got any items out of this dungeon so far, has she? So there's still essentially 2 unique items left in this dungeon. Which, best case scenario, it's going to be half magic at this point.
Yeah, half magic is all that would be left.
Or a potion with a blue bottle inside. Sure, a potion with a blue bottle inside.
RPG had 4 potions, and she was not in Misery Mire.
Oh, okay, I did not catch that. Fair enough. There is one chest up just north of here. You have to light all 4 torches in order to get there. So the left side of Misery Mire is fire locked, as in you need either the lamp or you need the fire rod in order to get to those 2 chests on the left side. Which means if you have neither, it's actually kind of awkward to visit Misery Mire early, although sometimes you have to, because the game just doesn't give you much of another choice. You can, however, beat the boss without having either of those, if the big key is not on the left side here. Also, Netara is using a nice little technique where, once again, while those little blocks are moving, and she's pushing them, they don't actually have a hitbox, so she can just use the fire rod, shoot straight across them in order to light up the torches. Makes it significantly easier to light up all the torches without having to do the little block shoving first. And, well, she got both items out of this dungeon now. She got the blue boomerang, which I guess it's a pretty unique item, not the one she was looking for. And unless she specifically goes for the pedestal now, which she's not going for, well, then she has to probably go to Palace of Darkness. There's likely not a whole lot left that she can do otherwise.
I believe she has never gone to Checkerboard Cave. He forgot that's the first time.
Ah. I think that is true, yes.
But yeah, at this point, I mean, there might be off locations that I've never paid too much attention, like Spy Cave.
Indeed.
But yeah, she finally is gonna head to pot.
Indeed. Worth noting, 2 things about this section here. There's a tree on the right side of this area. If you have boots, you can bonk into in order to get a ferry. Alternatively, the flute spot when you land in the light world actually also has a cave with a bunch of fairies in it. So if you're low on health, might be wise to briefly go there. But again, our Valkyries here, they don't necessarily have much experience in running or even playing this game a whole lot. So some of them have gone into this more or less with like 1 or 2 seats of practice. So they're making quite respectable progress for that, I would say. And yes, hello, welcome to you, JTs. Well, what I could do is maybe... this. And it's actually kind of fitting that Caeshura's screen is just on a game over and RPGChick's screen is on the collection rate with a final time there. Oh. Was that intentional? I
think so. She was low at health anyway, so...
Yeah. It makes sense if you're low at health. You might as well just go ahead and take a quick death. So, by the way, in Palace of Darkness, you cannot go further in than just 1 chest on the left side, unless that left side contains a small key. It very often does have a small key, but not always, and it's a fine decision to not go into Palace of Darkness without having a bow, because if you don't have a bow, you can immediately be locked out after just 1 chest of not getting anything. In this case, we know that
still those in which that 1 chest has a bow.
Yes, exactly. In this case, we know that the bow is indeed here. That Ultra's Game Over sprite, I kind of missed that actually. Would have to pay attention. So, this chest here on the left side, where you bomb through the floor, you can only get if you have a small key. There's a few ways how you can try to make Palace of Darkness more efficient in order to get through this dungeon reasonably quickly, but it's always kind of a bit awkward to try and get through it because there's a lot of small keys in this dungeon. I believe 6. Goes to show how long it's been since I last played this game.
Yeah, 6 small keys.
Yeah, with 6 small keys, there's a pretty high chance that you invest 1 small key to get another small key. So, not the greatest investment, but at the same time, unless you specifically leave out those chests or those locations for last, you don't really have any way to discern whether those chests do indeed have small keys or not. Oh, there's the final bottle, I believe. Yes, that is bottle number 4. So there's not really anything else. Now Netara has to make her way to the back side. There is, well, virtually nothing else. There is a minor glitch you can use in order to go through the right side even without having the bow. You can essentially use a potion for that purpose. Also, that falling glitch can be pretty mean. Well, I think what Netara tried to do was pick up another pot in order to throw at this guy here. Because those little mini Helmasaur, they are mean, because you can't hit them with a sword from the front, they will just kind of plink you away without taking any damage. You can't just use a hook shot in order to stun them though, so that would be an alternative, or a bow to just kill them if they had a bow, which, well, they don't right now. Netara picked up the big key, so that's kind of a big plus already. Worth noting that down here will be always a small key right now, because... Oh, no. Oh, right, she has not been to the right side. Never mind. Usually when you come out of the underground there and only have 2 small keys, there will always be a small key in that chest where she just picked up the bow from. However, I forgot that she didn't go to the right side yet and get the small keys. And by the way, Netara is now in Go mode. Go mode means that she can now finish this game without having to collect any more chests at all and just run straight through the bosses. Well,
except keys.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. She does need a small key still. She cannot go through there. The thing is, in this dark room here, there is never a small key. It cannot be in here by logic. Which means she will have to go back to the entrance of the dungeon and then through the right side in order to pick up any more small keys. Good morning to you, welcome. So, this is kind of a really mean location for the bow. For quite a long time in Randomizer, it has not been possible for the bow to be this far into Palace of Darkness. That has only changed with some more recent additions of the Randomizer. So she could now use the mirror in order to get back a fair bit faster, but then again, those are things that you only really start to realize once you have played this game a bunch. I kind of like that the Ultra Sprite is more or less just hovering a little bit above the ground, like he's just tiptoeing his way all the way around. So, if she goes to the left here, she will have to hit the crystal switch in order to flip the pegs. Actually, no, she doesn't. Never mind, she can just go to the
No,
left
she
side.
has to go to the Pollock side anyways.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, does she realize it now? No? I wonder whether she is listening right now, because I said the wrong thing. Oh, she doesn't realize she needs a small key in order to get to the boss. There is one locked door past this part here. So it's nice to use the Kino Samaria in order to try and have the block hold down the switch so you don't have to move the statue. But unfortunately, we will see that a second time, because Netara needs a small key in order to be able to defeat those. Also, once again, those red mimics are the ones that are responsible for you having to have a bow in order to progress through this dungeon. Also, I guess you do need the bow in order to shoot into this Igor's eye, for that matter. Oh, that's the basically stream overlay thing, whatever you want to call it. And that's basically how long the stream has been going on. Because we are using an RTMP, the layout looks a bit different than if you were to capture their streams directly from Twitch. And now she has run to the door. And is walking back now. Maybe she will eventually realize that going... There we go, alrighty. Now she's on the right track. That's good. The thing is, I've done actually a 12-hour challenge speedrun of this game here before, and I played the game as a kid. But you would be surprised how lost you can get when you just don't really know where and how to go places. I like this little trick here where you can bonk into those walls in order to open them up instead of having to use a bomb. It's one of those things that you might never realize.
Quite a lot of bomb bots. I would say about 60% probably. You can also just bonk open with the boots.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. The thing is, I don't know whether the game ever explains it to you. You can only bonk open the spots that have basically larger cracks in them. The ones with the smaller cracks, you have to use bombs in order to open. Like here, left and right side, you have to use bombs. Also, nice little tidbit, on the right side of this room there are ferries, in case you ever need to load up on ferries. The game explains it? Nice. I have to admit I've never paid attention to the dialogue. I played this game at a time where I was just running through stuff, running in circles forever, and I might have eventually arrived when I was young. The old man who gives you boots explained it. I see. Did Caeshura rip? Yes, pretty much. Caeshura is way too tired at this point. It is past midnight right now, so she decided that it's probably more reasonable to go to bed. I did not know you could walk like that. Did she get hit by that spike? Because it didn't look like she did.
Didn't pay attention, but she should have. At least in the small corridor, you should not be able to sneak past it.
Did it get hit? Alrighty. It basically, the video feed just kind of did not quite show that, but that's okay. This room here, by the way, you can do all those rooms without having the lamp, which means they are completely dark. And this room is one of the most difficult ones to complete if you have to do it in the dark, because you have to knock those turtles over with the hammer. There's not pretty much no other way to defeat them. So good luck on doing that when you can't see anything.
Yeah, you could, in theory, light the torches with the fire rod if you have the fire rod, but at the same time, you have to hit them, and if the turtles are in the way, well, the fire rod will just get to the turtles, and no one cares. Like, they just block it, don't take damage, and your shot missed too.
Yeah, it's true. You can light up those torches, so you can make the rooms be lit up. Oh. Go away, little circle. So there's that. It's kind of unusual though in at least a game to have the fire rod but not the lamp. In Randomizer it's a lot more common. Actually, I think it's literally impossible unless you use some major glitches to glitch out of bounds in the regular game to not have a lamp, but I don't even know whether dark rooms are actually truly dark when you don't have a lamp in the vanilla game. I don't think you even get to test that, do you?
I actually don't know. I mean, I would guess that they are actually completely dark, because I don't think that they would, like, the randomizer would program it to then be dark, but
I don't know.
I'm not sure if the princess just tells you you have to pick up the chest if you try to leave without it.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of what it does indeed say, that the princess literally tells you that we have to find some light source in order to go through the sewers. I don't really know that. That's just something that I remember from hearsay rather than actually seeing myself. Would be kind of curious. Alrighty, Netara is making her way through the last dungeon at this point, actually. She has cleared everything except for Misery Meyer, the final boss, and will be able to stroll straight into Ganon's tower right after. East Palace, because it is the first dungeon, it is traditionally one of the easiest ones, although when you're a speedrunner and try to go really fast, by no means, well, the easiest to execute if you try to become really good at this. Which is actually kind of a nice thing about this game. It's reasonably simple and easy to pick up as a speedrun or as a randomizer playthrough, where this entry level you need is reasonably low. It's really nice to just do that without much experience or practice. But at the same time, the skill ceiling, how good you can get and how crazy you can go with just optimizing everything, is pretty ridiculous as well. Which, to be fair, is true for many games, but I feel like it's especially true for Zelda because the entry barrier is so low to just kind of pick it up and run through the game reasonably quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to get used, like, some movements are just dumb. Like, if you try to quickly, like, turn, especially while slashing, it feels like you have to, like, not slash with your sword for 2 seconds until you can actually properly move again.
Yeah.
Which means that to get good, you actually are not allowed to make these mistakes because the game will never let you actually properly make up for them.
Pretty much. Netara tried to go into position for a quick kill on the Armos Knights. Didn't quite get the timing right, but thanks to the silver arrows this should not really be much of a problem, since all of them die in one hit. You started running this a week ago and already down to 220.57. But incredibly difficult to do things optimally finding out. Yes indeed. I think when I did like my 5th or 6th or 7th run, I did only like 4 or 5 runs. By then I was still way over 2 hours. But well, I've picked up the randomizer and I've gotten reasonably good at it. Oh, I like this strategy here. This is something I personally like to do as well, where you have a flute, you have money, you might as well just go real quick and pick up some bottles, because why not?
And Netara just realizing you actually need to have taken damage in order to use a red potion, like you need to have a bit of MP magic drained before you can use a green potion.
Yes, and that's exactly what she did. I think that's a good strategy. Blue potions refill both your health and magic to full, so they are more or less strictly better than green or red potions. Once you're more experienced, you don't necessarily need them, but they're always really nice to have as backup safety or even speed increase, in case you can just use your magic to speed up things, or damage boost for that matter. So, what else does this have? By the way, I don't think we necessarily mentioned that yet, but if you'd like to just kind of make your own randomizer playthrough, there is a very nice website that is quite simple to see, and that website is alttpr.com. And there you will be able to randomize your own game. You just need a Japanese 1.0 version ROM of the game, which you have to get yourself, preferably by getting it from your own Japanese 1.0 cartridge, but that is besides the point. And then you can just start randomizing this game yourself. It's pretty simple, it's straightforward, and you do not need to necessarily know much about the game. You can... well, let's put it this way. You kind of need to know the basics, like that the fire rod opens up your way to Skull Woods in the backside, or maybe that the flippers allow you to swim, stuff like that. You kind of need to know a little bit. But beyond that, if you just have seen people play Randomizer like once or twice, you can just play this game yourself. There is very few times where it is particularly tricky to do certain things or find the items which might be in particularly annoying locations. But you can just casually walk through it, it's kinda nice. And good morning to anybody who has just joined us. Welcome guys. It is midnight over here and the middle of the day in other places. I hope you had a good sleep so far. So happy Saturday from the future, I guess. So, oh, alrighty, Netara will actually show us a little bit more than what we saw at theRPGChick's screen, because if you get a small key here, oh, or not, never mind. If you get a small key on the right side, you can actually go through the right side and pick up 4 more chests on the right side. Well, actually up to 5, but usually you pick up only 4. One of those chests is the infamous tile room, where we have to wait like 40 or 50 seconds until the chest appears after all the tiles crash into the walls and stuff. And the other room is actually kinda tricky to reach, since you have to light a certain amount of torches within a certain time frame and just rush through the room. It's not that easy. Once you are a bit practiced, it's not particularly difficult anymore, but especially without much practice, it can be quite daunting. So the easiest way is just to grab whatever you find on the right side, mirror back out, go to the left side, and hope that you find a key along the way without having to go to the right side anymore. And Genetic Gundion, thank you very much for the 500 bits. So Nikki, if I may ask, what are we actually doing here? I believe you're the host, so you might have actually something to say.
Yeah, this is RPGs we love to. Gosh, I'm also really tired. A fundraising marathon to get my fellow Valkyries to RPG Limit Break, because I sadly won't be able to today. And yeah, having a lot of awesome people, showing a lot of awesome runs. And yeah, if you want to support us or also interested in one of the many incentives we have, feel free to donate. Obviously, no one has to. Every bit of support helps, even if it is just quote-unquote viewing, always very appreciated.
Indeed, very much appreciated. So thank you very much for the 500 bits, Genetic Gundion. I'm only a guest here, but I think that is very much appreciated. Worth noting.
Bits and subs so go to Texas.
Yes, exactly.
Which is, most known probably in the US for making like quiet rooms to go back to and just retreat during like events. Yeah, most often PAX and stuff, where it's like really crowded.
Indeed, during those events it can be, for especially introvert people kind of like me, where you feel like you could get overwhelmed, like just kind of sensory overload and stuff. They have those really nice rooms set up. I will probably kind of spend most of my time in those, so just gives you a nice place to just rest for a while if you need it. So take this as quite an awesome organization like that, I would say. So yeah, all the bits and subscription, basically that money goes towards Take This, a charity organization. Only donations directly, however, count for, in this case, the RPG Valkyries getting to RPG Limit Break, which is by itself a fundraising marathon located in the US for NAMI, I believe, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Basically tries to really help against the stigma against mental illness and all those kinds of things. Essentially just a really nice cause. I'm not good at talking, that's okay though. And yes, if you haven't seen the ending of the Dragon Quest run, I dare to say, Team Pop absolutely demolished the game. That was crazy to see.
Team Pop was just went really strong.
Indeed. So Netara has to push the block on the top left in order to open up the door. I don't know whether she actually knows that. Oh. Come on, you need to push it a bit more. She might think that you have to defeat the mimic. Yeah. No, don't move it out of the way. You have a shield. So the big shield actually allows you to block those projectiles from the red mimics. And now she realizes that doesn't work. What do you have to do? The other block. You have to push the other block. There we go. Nice.
We did it.
Once again,
all right.
Those are all the things
I just have to go through the room without using too many silver arrows.
Oh, she's stuck in a corner now. Those are all the things that, if you have played the game a bunch, or if you have watched a lot of Randomizer, you just kind of automatically know. You don't even realize that those are possibly things that people would not realize or not know, for that matter. But those are exactly the things that you can get easily stuck on, where you might kind of know the run, you might kind of know the room's layouts, but those can easily trip you up. By the way, Netara has only 8 silver arrows at this point. 13 now, nice. There is another pot with 5 silver arrows a bit further up, but she will want to have at least 4 of them in order to defeat Ganon with. Preferably more to have a bit more buffer room, wiggle room, but that could be nice. There we go. The meanest thing about the big yellow shield is that it does not protect you from those beamos, eye beams, which I don't agree with. I feel like that shield should just protect you from them. Don't tease the octopus, kids.
So yeah, there are just a lot of different sprites that we can play with, and not just with the normal casual Link. And Ucho's got a lot of support.
By the way, monking is actually part of the logic in Randomizer, and the reason is specifically this room down there, because there is actually pretty much no other way to get over there unless you use a bomb jump in order to get to this crack down there. As a kid, I always wondered how you even get there. I never knew how you could get there. But with Randomizer, we learned that, hey, bonking in order to get across gaps, that is an intended mechanic. Which means one chest in Hookshot Cave is actually accessible with just the boots, and that is in the logic. So if you're unlucky and you don't know about that yet, that can trip you up if you are a beginner as a Randomizer, because it's not necessarily obvious. Further, the same goes for entering Misery Mire. You can enter Misery Mire with just the boots, and that is in the logic. In the logic means that you may have to do that in order to progress if the items randomly placed like that kind of happens to align that way, essentially. Those pots are nice to throw against those guys because they have actually a really nice and wide hitbox. So that sounds like a good idea to me to use them. Oh, that was a very nice room. That room with the conveyor belts, that can really mess you up a bit. And then this entire ice room, oh. Those hearts there, there's 4 pots in the middle. Those are 4 hearts, but those are a trap. If you get them, you will almost always get hit by the beamos right after. It's kind of mean. And beamos always deal at least 1 heart of damage, so a bit awkward. Just 2 sword swings with the gold sword in order to take care of the land mollusk number 2. No problem. Those pots here are basically just your refill room. 1 bomb, 1 arrows, 1 magic, and 1 heart. Or 1 magics. One of those little magic refills allows you to get 1 shot of the fire and ice shot. Also, those rooms that don't seem to have a floor, the way those work is you're supposed to either use Ether or the King of Samaria in order to find your way across. Ether essentially just reveals the floor, and the King of Samaria actually allows you to see, well, where the block is going to disappear when you push it off the ledge, for example. Netara just takes the easy way out. There's a way where you can hit 3 of those guys with 1 King of Samaria explosion. It's a bit tricky in timing because it's kinda specific, but just swinging at them with the sword is the easy way. Also, as Nikki mentioned earlier, this room there on the left side, it's entirely possible to never get the boots in a randomizer seat, which means rooms like this one actually get really difficult to get through because there's so many enemies that you normally just dash through, so how do you deal with them? Alrighty, Netara needs to light all 4 torches in this room in order to be able to get through. You don't want to bonk or waste too much time, but she makes it without any trouble. There's a heart in the left pot and a full magic refill in the right pot, which you kind of need magic in the next room too.
Those 2 rooms are also examples if you actually don't have the fire rod, because you only need the fire rod for Scouts and Turtle Rock in theory.
Oh yeah,
behind the right side of GT. These rooms are suddenly I mean, it's not that complicated if you know what you're doing, but you better looked at it beforehand, else you might suddenly stumble across a problem.
Indeed. Wow, we didn't get to see those 2 chests. No, we are never going to know what's in those chests now. I wanted to see whether there's the half magic in there. I mean, aside from those chests, there is 3 plus 1 plus 1. There's only 9, well, actually 10 more chests in Ganon's tower left over. Aside from those 3 chests that they just skipped. Why did you skip them? I wanted to know whether there's half magic in there. Oh well, that's okay. And once again, ice and doorways, they do not work well together. You want to dash in order to get into those doorways if you have boots. It makes it so much easier. So, and we have Aghanim 2 here again. Worth noting, by the way, in case you're ever curious, the patterns for Aghanim and Ganon and pretty much all bosses are random, but they are the same random among all the participants that play the same seed, which means it's actually going to be perfectly fair for each one of the racers to play this boss. That way you avoid situations where, let's say, Ganon just wastes time by teleporting 20 times to different spots without ever stopping for one racer, but does not for the other racer. In this case, for Aghanim, the differences are where they teleport to is going to be the same for all the racers, all the same or at the same time, and also whether they are, or the main part of Aghanim is going to shoot blue balls or whether he is going to shoot balls you can bounce back to him. So, Netara used 2 potions on the way through Ganon's tower. I wonder whether she is going to briefly make a stop at the witch before continuing here. It's actually a bit awkward to do that, because you have to run down the pyramid, mirror there, over to the witch and then kind of get back to Link's house in order to go first there too. So, not sure what she's waiting for, but maybe I'm missing a message or something of that equivalent. We'll see. Oh, actually, I missed the message from Netara quite a while ago. Apparently I could have used the...
Oh yeah, you could have used her audio.
Yeah.
She muted herself.
Oops, I'm sorry guys.
But no, besides that, no message missed.
Yeah. Do we have any donations by chance or something else that you might want to see? Right. In this case, back to the Ganon fight. Once again, it is 6 hit with the gold sword in order to push Ganon from phase 1 to the phase 2, which Netara just hit him 6 times. And now 1, 2. That's only 2 hits so far for the second phase. Once again, it's 6 hits. 3, 4, 5. One more. Ah, she didn't get it. She's still in phase 2 right now because she didn't quite get 6 hits in. So this was enough. Netara does not quite know, as it seems that you only need to hit him that so many times in order to push him into the next phase. She does have a fairy, but as you can see, even with full hearts and the most powerful armor, you die really quickly if you don't necessarily know how to avoid these bats or how the pattern works. And here again, you want to hit Ganon before he jumps. If you don't, he will do that ring of fire with the bats, which can make it really awkward to hit him in subsequent areas too. Now I just hope that she manages to pick up the torch glitch. He probably knows about it, where you want to light the left torch before the right one goes out. She does have 1 more blue potion, so that's nice. It's actually really difficult to get the torch glitch with the fire rod. Well, it looks like she doesn't even necessarily go for it. Ooh,
she shouldn't really need to do it. So yeah, I'm not sure if she has another blue potion.
We'll see. So, You need to hit him with your sword first, and then you can shoot a silver arrow at him, as long as he is blue. You can only hit Ganon with your sword while the torches are lit. You can actually... Oh, interesting. You can actually get multiple arrow shots against Ganon if you attack him from the side with the arrows. It does not work if you attack him from the front, because he essentially gets knocked into the pit or into a wall, and you just kind of lose that opportunity. Alrighty, one more arrow shot. She almost got it. Ooh. One more arrow shot, and then you will be the victor. Yes, you're also running out of magic here. Ooh, come on. Yeah, one more shot. There we go. Alrighty. That was kind of the last opportunity, but very nicely done, Netara. Congratulations on finishing this. Very nice.
GG.
Oh, hi. That's me. Congratulations, Netara, on finishing this. If you'd like to join us in Discord, feel free to do so.
She already is, that's why we
Sorry, I already have, but unfortunately I didn't unmute my mic. Hello, I did not actually expect to finish that, but I did. Hurrah!
Welcome. You're doing quite fine, I would say. How do you feel about this?
I hate the bow. I want it to die in a fire. But other than that, it could have gone a lot worse. Considering I literally, other than one Triforce seed, haven't played this game in 6 months, I think I did really well.
Yeah, that was quite solid, I would say.
Yeah.
I got, everything. Or basically Yeah, I got everything. Never mind. Let's take it back. I got...
I mean, you're missing the heart piece on the pedestal, but that's probably about it.
Oh, that pedestal did...
Yeah. The 3 chests you skipped, by the way, they could have contained half magic, but we never will know at this point.
Whatever. And did nobody check those? Yeah.
Nobody checked them. RPGChick didn't check them either.
Nice. Nice, yeah, and I didn't get to the point where I needed to check the bomb fairy, so I was like, we're good.
But yeah, you managed to finish this, and as you said, you haven't really done a whole lot of practice. It was probably mostly just kind of, let's see how this goes. Quite respectable, I would say.
Yeah, let's be real. When I was actually playing this, I was barely finishing it in under 4 hours. So the fact I finished this in just over 3, I'm pretty happy. I'm not sad about that. And it went really well until I was just searching for the bow everywhere. And I was just like, where is the bow?
Yeah, you were pretty strict on, we are not going to go into pot until I have a bow.
I really...
Which, I mean, going into pot without bow versus going into T-Rock was just a fighter's sword.
Oh my god. I was happy I found 2 swords in T-Rock, I won't lie, because I was just like, well, we're going into T-Rock with the fighter's sword. That was another thing. I was like, can I get a sword that isn't the fighter's sword? And I laughed at the chest after the big key and Ganon star. I was like, let's just check it for the lulls, and it was the butter sword. I was like, yes! Not sad about that.
Yeah, very nice. Alrighty,
Excellent.
You managed to complete this.
Yes.
Really
I hope
quickly
everyone
compared
enjoyed
to your splits anyways, as I can see. Nice.
Yeah, well, those splits are specifically for standard, and I usually do open, so my open average is a little better than that, but still, yeah, my average is not good. But I hope everyone enjoyed the suffering. Folks couldn't hear it on stream, but there was a lot of screaming and swearing in the Valkyrie's chat, where we were swearing a lot. So,
yeah,
it was bad. I certainly only turned the sound on very late when RPGC already finished.
Yeah. Yeah, it was excellent.
Caeshura was one of you 3 people who did not have a bomb for the back of escape, for example.
Yes, we knew that when we were playing through. She was like, and then when RPGChick and I got the boots, we're like, oh, all I could think is, I hope she gets a bomb and goes back soon, because those boots.
Yeah, it took her quite a while.
Yeah, she said when she did finally go back.
She found the Titansmiths earlier.
Oh, really?
Earlier, and you. Yeah, she went to Zora pretty early, didn't have the money.
Oh, no?
Couldn't make it to the cape because she died, but I mean, at least she knew the cape was there if she actually needed it.
Was I the first person to find the mirror?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Actually,
okay.
You 3 were not that interested in actually going there for a long time.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering because Kay could hear a little bit from the other room, and she's like, somebody did something, and I was like, I think that was me, because I was like, I had just gotten the mirror, so I was like, I think that's me they're talking about. I won't say about what. Oh, and the broken heart sleeps again forever. That's the spirit.
It made me wonder for a short time how thin the walls are.
Yeah.
In Japan.
People told me to just kind of yell that because why not, I guess.
It was amazing. Well, excellent. Well, I guess we'll go so we can let the other crew get in there. But thanks so much to both of you for hosting and commentating that hot mess.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Of course.
Thanks for the great race.
Indeed.
The greatest of races.
So I will give it over to the next streamer as soon as they are ready. So have a nice day, guys. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Bye.
Take care and enjoy. I'm very well prepared. Final Fantasy Legend, right? Yeah, Final Fantasy Legend by Omega Number.
Did we make the faces melting incentive or everything is melting incentive? Because amazing. You definitely want to see everything is melting.
Super awesome. I have to admit, I'm kinda, I don't know why, trained already.
Yes. That's the spirit. So apparently I was muted, but the faces, everything is melting % in the next race or the next run that's coming up. $55 left. It's going to be, I think the runner is going to be running it at like double speed and it breaks everything. So it looks like everything is melting. So if you want to see everything melting in the next game, $55 is all we have left to make that. And I have faith we can do it while we're setting up. So come on, let's get that met.